Hello everyone, it's Jack from Cultaholic, joined by Ross and Tom. It's a new thing.
Yes, it is.
I am the tournament master.
Good for you there.
But all of us are the tournament judges as well. I've set up a lovely bracket of the 64, not best necessarily, but biggest, most famous WrestleMania matches of all time.
Just revealing the full title there for the thing.
Oh, I thought we were becoming friends.
For the first
Later,
edition of the Cultaholic World Cup WrestleMania match edition.
Yeah. Up the World Cup.
Up the World Cup.
Yeah.
Except
Shearer.
I've realised really late in the day that it's not the same format as the World Cup. It's more of an FA Cup. It's just single elimination all the way through, but it's fine.
We'll call it the Sweet FA Cup.
Oh, yeah. Risque. So the format's dead simple. I'll just introduce each match in turn. Sam Driver has provided a lovely graphic, which you will see throughout the video through the magic of editing, I believe. And then we'll all, because there's three of us, it's either going to be 3-0 or 2-1 to each match. And then that match will go through to the next round. And eventually we'll be left with the greatest WrestleMania match of all time. There's a few candidates, obviously, that are probably going to be in the mix towards the end. But I like the other. I like that it's all about it's about the journey. So, without any further ado, should we just crack on with round one?
Oh, let's get cracking.
It's the preliminary rounds.
What I've done is I've taken each match's. This is at the time I gathered the data. So, like the other day, each match's cage match rating to create a seeded format. So we're going to get some mismatches. I've taken this.
Bloody hell.
Don't
This isn't
worry
like the
about
handsome
that.
one on the podcast last week.
So
No,
kind
no.
of the cage match rating, so it'll be like a mix of best and worst and fair to middle in.
Oh
and,
yeah, but
you know.
but we're starting off with the.
So I'm
top-
worried where Adam Bomb versus Earthquake might fall.
It's not on there, I'm afraid.
What?
We're starting off with the top seed versus the very bottom seed. It's Brett versus Austin from WrestleMania 13 versus Bam Bam versus LT from WrestleMania 11.
Well,
Look at Tom trying to formulate an argument for
gonna
Bam
say-
Bam versus LT.
I'm trying to.
There is none, because one was just like, oh, it's good for an American football lad against Bam Bam Bigelow, who got paid handsomely for doing his very good job, versus one of the greatest WrestleMania matches of all time.
It is. I mean, some of these matchups will be more difficult than the very first one.
It's the battle of like the match which had grand designs of a big payoff that didn't happen versus the match that didn't really have grand designs of a payoff but did.
Yes. So with that in mind, shall we just crack straight on with this one and just I'm going Brett versus Austin.
I think we'll discuss why people might not like Brett versus
Go on,
Austin
then.
later on.
I see.
When we get a more even matchup. But
That's
for now,
very
I think
good
it goes straight through.
Well, I think best wishes to Lawrence Taylor. It was a very unique WrestleMania main event. I have the theory that it should have been Mongo McMichael in that main event as opposed to Lawrence
think
Taylor.
LT did well?
I think LT did well. I get why he's in it because he was a much bigger star than Mongo at the time. But Mongo was on the All-Pro team. He was there. Mongo, a more established promo, and would probably have been a better wrestling match.
But I think LT, that is probably true, but LT, bigger name in the sport.
Yeah, I know, but I'd still like Mongo to have headlined
Look at
WrestleMania.
me pretending like I think LT was a bigger name in American football.
Mongo was there as part of his crew, wasn't he?
He was, yes. He
Yeah.
got the All-Pro. He and Karma had a little feud going on the Monday Night Raws and the run-up to
Oh.
it. I'm just giving LT and Bam Bam some flowers because we're never going to speak of
That
them
was
again.
good, yeah.
It exceeded all possible expectations.
Lawrence Taylor was so haggard at the end of that match. They literally had to carry him out.
I think history has not shone kindly on that match because only recently we've had the phenomenon of celebrities just being really good at wrestling. Bad Bunny, Logan Paul.
It's the evolution of the business.
It certainly is, brother.
So not Michael's Hart versus
Steve.
Austin.
Steve
versus Brett goes
It's-
on through to the next round.
It's there, it's through. Next up, we've got two of the middle seeds, and they're both women's matches. So one of them's falling out in the first round already. We've got WrestleMania 32, Charlotte versus Sasha versus Becky Lynch for the first ever women's or returned women's championship, and Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair from last year's WrestleMania. It's a tricky one.
I think Ric Flair's involvement in the triple threat match puts it below what was just a straight up fantastic professional wrestling match between two fantastic professional wrestlers.
Another thing is as well, you could argue that maybe the winner was wrong in the WrestleMania 32 one. That was
Sasha.
Sasha's match to
Well,
win.
she came out dressed as her dad, didn't she?
Eddie
Guerrero.
yeah. And she came out with her cousin.
With her dad, Snoop
He's
Dogg.
her cousin, isn't he? Is he a
WrestleMania
cousin?
superstar Snoop Dogg.
Yes. Oh God, yeah. Oh no.
But that Becky versus Bianca match last year was just one of them, innit? With the hands going like that.
Yes.
One of the best WrestleMania matches of all time.
What are your thoughts?
And a
Tom?
great story that was told that went back to SummerSlam, and there is an argument that will forever be made, like a bad relationship in trusting the process, because we were all so cross when Becky Lynch just squashed Bianca Belair at SummerSlam the previous year. But what a comeback story that it built to, and a great WrestleMania match from last year.
I think as well, I'm going to agree with you, even though myself and Ross were lucky enough to be there in person for WrestleMania 32. And it was, I reckon, one of the strongest matches of the night that time.
Probably the best, wasn't it? It's just a bell-to-bell match.
Yeah, the only other one I can think of was the ladder match.
Eric Rowan versus The Rock.
Eric Rowan versus The Rock as well. We'll talk about that later. No, we won't. So there we go. It's a unanimous one again. Oh, I've gone. It's a unanimous one again. It's Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair. It's gone through.
Hey.
Next up, Kofi Mania. Daniel Bryan versus Kofi Kingston, WrestleMania 35, versus WrestleMania 22, HBK versus Vince McMahon.
This is down to what sort of professional wrestling you like.
Yes.
As to what you're going to vote through here. Because honestly, sat here now, I can't remember much of the match between Bryan and Kofi. I just obviously remember the moment at the end with them Kofi getting lifted on the New Day shoulders, the family getting in the ring, the t-shirt that came out halfway through the match.
No.
But HBK versus Vince had so many more memorable moments. The elbow, Vince rising up with his blood-covered face.
Was that from that match?
Yeah.
I thought that was from WrestleMania 19. That was Hogan.
Was that the Hogan one?
Yeah.
Well, I need to leave the room because I'm going to mess there. Maybe it doesn't have more memorable moments then.
It was.
It's just the elbow drop, isn't it?
No, I think it was arguably Vince's best ever match. Not arguably.
Oh, I
HBK's.
don't know. I mean, you know.
Hey, we've got another Vince one, I believe, on this list later on.
Oh, okay. Well, I think if there's another Vince one coming up, I've got a hunch without seeing the bracketology. Okay. I've got a hunch as to what that Vince McMahon match will be. I think one Vince match is enough for this list. I
think the moment really shouldn't be discounted though as well, even if you only remember the moment from Bryan versus Kofi. What a moment it was.
Yeah, which is why I'm voting for the arrival of Kofi Mania.
Yeah.
Obviously the story that was told in the lead up to it I thought was excellent and came out of nowhere, but then the story that followed it was really bad.
That was bad.
Regardless, a great match between two great workers with the right ending. Even though it seemed like an obvious choice for the right ending, sometimes because it's obvious doesn't mean it's wrong.
Triple H.
That's right. Very pertinent, Tom. Thank you.
Yes.
I agree. It's unanimous. We're having Kofi Mania in the next round. There we go. Next up, we've got an iconic match in WrestleMania history: Randy Savage versus Rick Steamboat from WrestleMania 3, taking on Vince McMahon versus Hulk Hogan.
Oh,
well, this is down to the type of
19.
professional wrestling that you like, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
If you like straight up professional wrestling, or you like the bells and whistles that come with, memorable WrestleMania moments like Vince McMahon rising up from the ring.
Yeah.
That was in Vince versus Shawn Michaels, wasn't it?
That's tough. It is tough because it is ahead of its time. Savage versus Steamboat.
It is. Does it? I've watched it back since, and it's all right.
For modern standards,
right.
it is like a good TV match.
I know this famous story that's like they rehearsed for ages. Savage was insisting on getting it right, and I watch it back, and I'm like, I guess so.
You just got to remind you the standards of the day, aren't you? Like
do, yeah.
Hogan, technical wizard of 1980s.
Yeah. It did. In the context of the 80s, yes, it does blow away most of everything else. Yeah.
But then, where do we sit on it in regards to Hogan versus Vince, which was a sports entertainment spectacle?
Yes.
From start to finish. The appearance of Rowdy Roddy Piper midway through that match.
Oh, I didn't even remember that.
Like he ran out with a babyface pop, teasing that he was going to help Hogan. But as they were building to the spot where Piper looked like he was about to hit Vince, but then hit Hogan. But about a minute before, he spat on Hulk Hogan and kind of gave away what he was about to do.
Yeah. Why did he do that?
I think he just got lost in the moment.
Just hates Hogan.
Just hates Hogan.
We all, yeah. I'm still going to cast my vote, I think, for WrestleMania 3, Steamboat versus Savage.
I think we have to do that as a reputable source of professional wrestling content. We can't have Vince McMahon's match being on top of Savage versus Steamboat.
What would you say, Tom?
I'm going to agree with you guys because I'd like to see Hogan. I would like to not see Hogan and Vince in the list. I'd like to see Steamboat and Savage. Savage in there.
Fair enough. Next up, we've got a match from just last weekend at the time of recording. I've shoved it in last minute. It's the IC triple threat match.
Well, that wins.
Gunther, well, it wins the whole thing.
Yeah.
Let's go home. Gunther versus Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus. Taking on, honestly, I think it's a good one. Big Show versus Floyd Mayweather, WrestleMania 24.
Oh.
Yeah.
I learned recently that, what's he called? Matt Sydal was the guy they had train Floyd Mayweather for that matchup because he was the same size. So Sydal would do something in the ring, then Floyd would watch him and then copy him.
I thought you meant they were going to get someone in similar to Big Show for him to training. No,
They've got the Jolly Green Giant in.
So Floyd's mimicking what Sydal's doing.
Yeah, that's how he learned how to do the spots in the match. But it's the most conclusive one so far for me.
Whoa, really?
I love that triple threat
really good,
match. They hit each other really hard.
Yeah, I fear a recency bias, but I think with that one, I think the fans enjoyed it as well. I don't think really like Floyd Mayweather was the baby face against Big Show that I think people wanted or hoped he
was
would
the heel.
be.
No, don't worry.
He was certainly the heel.
He was the heel.
Yeah.
He was in Oscar De La Hoya country, apparently.
Yeah.
Well, they wanted him for that match, didn't they? But they didn't get him, Oscar De La Hoya.
Oh, really?
It meant to be De La Hoya and Rey Mysterio against Floyd and Shane McMahon. I learned this doing that.
God.
I learned this doing my facts video last week. Check it out on the channel.
I think that this turned out better than that would have done. Floyd played a really good heel. I watched an episode of Raw in the Build recently, and it was not the angle where he breaks Big Show's nose. The one where Big Show throws Floyd out of the ring, and it's all very good. I think at the time it was one of the best celebrity matches ever. But nowadays, again, we have to reevaluate how good celebrity matches are.
I'm going to go with the triple threat from the weekend. I feel like I remember watching Floyd and Big Show live. I remember watching the triple threat live. I remember how I felt during both, and I genuinely enjoyed the triple threat more than Floyd and Big Show.
I'm going for that as well.
In the words of Titus O'Neil, call the police.
Oh! And you know what? Fair play to those three lads who put on a banger despite Titus O'Neil on commentary.
Oh, you joking? He was fantastic.
Call the police.
In the final stretches where Titus is just screaming at the top of his lungs, it is fantastic. I live through Titus vicariously.
I love how Titus act like he'd never seen wrestling before, ever. Like it was all new to him. He's been an ambassador for too long. Too many Ferrero Rocher.
Next up, I'll drop in the seeds occasionally just for a fun little fact. We've got the 25th seed taking on the 40th seed, but it's a closer matchup, I think, than that would suggest. We've got the main event of WrestleMania 30, Daniel Bryan, Orton and Batista taking on Warrior versus Savage from WrestleMania 7. Two emotional high points in WrestleMania history, I'd suggest. This is the hardest one maybe so far?
Yeah.
Obviously, we talk about the moment and Daniel Bryan being passive-aggressively shoehorned into the Mania main event always fills me with joy.
Yes.
Because there was no way WWE wanted to do it until essentially the closest we got to a WWE boycott led to Daniel Bryan getting into the main event, which was great. But the story of Hogan Savage was really special.
No, Warrior Savage.
So Warrior Savage. Why keep saying Hogan? I think I'm still tired. We're recording this like the day after WrestleMania weekend.
Yeah.
And it's just my mind is frazzled. But the story into that was special, and the moment was special,
And the aftermath.
with the reuniting of Savage and Elizabeth.
It's two of the most iconic moments in WrestleMania history.
I remember the finish feeling quite unusual because the finish of that match had Savage drop like 10 elbows or 5 elbows, a massive amount of elbows on Warrior, and Warrior booting out.
Oh, he's the Ultimate Warrior.
And then Warrior hitting 3 shoulder tackles that sent Savage out of the ring. And the finish was like the third one, hits him out of the ring, gets him back into the ring, and then casually just rolls into the ring, puts one foot on him and pins him. It was a really slow, quite like anticlimactic win in that one, whereas the triple threat, it was like nail biting right up to the end.
Yeah, it's certainly remembered more Warrior Savage for what happened after than the match itself, whereas Bryan, Batista and Orton is remembered for the celebrations after, but I also remember the announce table spot where Orton really hurts his back.
The Batista Bomb RKO duo.
Yes.
Double. Blah, blah, blah.
And I remember the climactic, the yes lock on Batista at the end with Michael Cole, the biggest hypocrite in world wrestling, on commentary going, come on, Bryan, even though not many years before that he'd been going, you geek, you nerd, you internet geek boy. Despite that, I think I'm going for the more modern one. I'm going for the
more modern one as well. I thought it was a better story and a better, just if you look at it, just a wrestling match with professional wrestling maneuvers.
Yes.
I think it's with the greatest respect to Warrior and Savard.
And ultimately, it was like the obvious winner winning at WrestleMania 30, and sometimes that's the right thing to do.
So that's the right thing.
WrestleMania main event, you know.
What a wild idea!
I'm delighted to report that we've not had a non-unanimous decision yet. Could that change next with Rock Austin 2 from X7 versus Trish versus Mickie from WrestleMania 22? Feels bad eliminating that one. It will be eliminated, surely.
I guess it depends if you were with the heel turn or not with the heel turn.
The Rock Austin heel turn.
How much does that ruin it for you? If it even does.
If you look at it, I've always been of the opinion that, yes, I agree that it was a bad business decision to turn Austin heel, famously so, but I enjoyed heel Austin after that a lot. Maybe it's because I was a child.
We're going through it on the classic SmackDown review, like we're watching week to week of 2001, and the heel turn does come into its own. Like they do he does find his groove with it, and he's able to kind of walk the line of being Steve Austin and a bad guy, and it works quite nicely. But yeah, Mickie, I mean, for Trish Stratus and Mickie James, it was an excellent story, a great build. And I think it inspired many people to get into it. I think it was Sasha Banks, it was Mercedes Varnado, just the week before Mania, saying that story is what inspired her to get into wrestling.
I want to be a stalker too.
Yeah, I want to stalk Trish Stratus as well.
She's obviously been calling out Mickie James recently, wanting to retire her as well.
Yeah, that's it. So there's all that as well. And it holds a nice bit of prestige in wrestling history as being one of the few matches where something was cut out for being too rude.
Yes. I was about to do it then. I was like, what am I doing?
Go on, do it. No one will clip it.
Come on. No, yeah, they certainly will.
Tom, do you want
the old...
Oh, no, he did it as well. How close did the hand get to the mouth there? Quite far.
Really close.
No, there was a nice distance
all
away.
the way through.
You didn't need to make the noise. That was. Do you think she did that in the ring?
I reckon in the ring.
I'll be honest. When I sorted out this bracket, I was gutted that this was the matchup in the first round because I think both would deserve to go through.
I feel like a monster making a major point of the match that there was a funny bit where she did a rude and naughty hand gesture. No, it was a good match. It was well received.
Mickie,
and it was.
Mickie James is one of the finest character wrestlers in wrestling history.
Absolutely.
And a great worker as well in the ring. I'm still going for Rock Austin.
I'm going for Rock Austin as well.
Damn it, lads.
No disqualification. When was that out?
It's not on my run sheet.
Panicked Jim Ross there. Next up, we've got the main event of WrestleMania 37, Night 2. Roman versus Edge versus Bryan. Stack 'em and pin them. Taking on a very divisive Iron Man match from WrestleMania 12. Bret Hart versus HBK.
Oh, it's the triple threat, for goodness sakes.
Oh.
I went back and watched
that serious?
Oh, especially after I know it's a modern day thing, it might be recency bias, but the fast-paced Iron Man match we saw for MJF and AEW recently, it really isn't the kindest thing for that Iron Man match from way back in 90s.
I find it crazy that 1 year after the first, unless you count Mr. T, but he was in there with Hogan and stuff, but 1 year after the first celebrity main event at WrestleMania 11, you've then got the most purist Iron Man. It's so weird. It's such a weird thing.
The thing that lets it down, the reason why it's so divisive is because the full concept of the match was laid out weeks before. The most pinfalls or submissions within an hour. Shawn wasn't willing to be pinned by Bret. Bret wasn't willing to be pinned by Shawn.
Is that why it was 0-0?
There was a lot of back and forth, and like who would take the first, who would take the second, and a lot of argy-bargy, and it led to them just going, okay, we'll just go 0-0. And I was like, well, what a waste of concept. Why not have just had a regular match with a 1 hour time limit, and just go the time limit. But so that's why I think it's so divisive. And then does it hold up as well?
Because now happens for the first half an hour.
Nothing happens in the first 3/4 of an hour. And I think until the timekeeper gets knocked out of the ringside area.
You guys don't appreciate the art of this noble business.
Yeah, I know. No, that's probably why we'll get a shoe in for saying the triple threat.
No. I think that generally these days, more people are a bit sick of that Iron Man match than fans of it these days. Whereas the Roman, I'm voting for the triple threat as well because it's a Roman Reigns win that didn't anger me deeply. So there we go. I thought it was
Edge
the right
made a right whopper of himself in that build because I remember Bryan getting added pretty late into the build, and he made himself like the biggest babyface of the entire match when this was the return of Edge. Like, he won the Rumble the year after he returned. This was meant to be potentially his big WrestleMania win against Roman Reigns. Yeah. But no, Bryan made himself a bigger babyface in the build, and Edge just was sort of like the third guy by the time the match was starting.
Yes. I remember thinking, who's, I remember tying myself in knots trying to work out, is Bryan going to win by pinning Edge? Is Edge going to win by pinning Bryan? Roman's not taking the fall. Not thinking that it would be it was so conclusive when he stacked them and pinned them.
Pancakes.
Is it a 3-0 then?
Yeah.
3-0.
When are we going to disagree?
Well, I think we're coming up to it. Because bear in mind, if we get to the end of this first round and they're all unanimous victories, we're going to have some arguments over the next lot.
That is true. The next one it's aged badly, but it's still regarded as one of the best Mania matches ever. It's the WrestleMania 20 main event, the triple threat, Benoit, HBK, and Triple H, which is the 4th seed against one of the bottom seeds, the main event of WrestleMania 1, Hogan and Mr. T versus Piper and Paul Orndorff.
Even though it's got Benoit in, I mean, it's a romp.
I know. Have you watched the main event of WrestleMania 1 recently?
I watched it last week.
It's bad, isn't it?
Yeah, really bad.
But it's exciting. The crowd are up for it.
I mean, I watched it under the guise of like knowing a bit more of the context behind the match and the build. You know, obviously Piper being protective of the business, not wanting an outsider coming in, and then him and Mr. T not getting along, and then there was a sort of like a workout thing, and Mr. T brought back up because he thought that Orndorff and Piper might shoot on him and stuff like that.
But he was frightened, was he? Mr. T always didn't want to go out there. Like even in the run up to the show, like he was like, I don't know if I want to wrestle. Well, you have to because you're the main event.
Don't be shy.
But they all worked well together in the end, even though there was that little bit of jeopardy. But it's not a good match.
No,
it's a spectacle.
It's iconic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna have to also give it that triple threat in WrestleMania 20. I think is comfortably better than the Bryan one. It's just that the Bryan one has the big joyous ending, which is fantastic. But I think as far as the match quality goes, I think that the WrestleMania 21's better.
Yeah, and it has, you know, in a vacuum, it has the joyous ending, and it's like Benoit and Eddie at the end. It's so bittersweet now.
Yeah.
With them two, because two guys who came up together and all of a sudden there they are on top of the business.
The
original kind of look at us,
yeah,
look at us together type gif with those two. But and it weird to be going, I think that the WrestleMania 20 triple threat. I remember we did the main events of WrestleMania in a tier list, and I was like, I don't know if I even want to put it in. It just feels too weird to. But in this case, sorry, Mr. T.
And sorry, Mr. T.
I read recently a thing about how Bruiser Brody was offered lots of money by promoters just to storm the ring during that match.
Oh, that would have been fantastic. How different would the business look today?
Brody Mania.
That would have been fantastic. Next up, this is a big one. This is tricky. This might be the first one that's not unanimous. WrestleMania 19's main event, Kurt Angle versus Brock Lesnar. The first WrestleMania main event where both men were using their real names. And Rock versus Hogan from WrestleMania 18.
Oh, it's an easy call for me, you know, because it's one of my favourite matches of all time, Rock versus Hogan.
Ah, I see.
Just because of the crowd. The fact that the two lads involved, the two lads, they just flipped their roles on the fly because they listened to the crowd. It's Jerry Lawler on commentary as well. I know he gets his detractors from time to time with the way, you know, he does the wrestling calling. But his calling that match, just the way he was going along with Hogan, doing the poses and whatnot, added to Hogan just standing there going, doing that sort of stuff. It was just, it's one of my favourite matches of all time.
I think that one I certainly enjoy watching more because I remember watching Mania 19 live and it was a really uncomfortable watch because we knew how injured Angle was, like how close to snapping he was, like with his bad neck. So it's a match with a guy who specializes in German suplexes and backdrops.
Yeah.
And so it was uncomfortable enough to watch with that match that you could tell they were safe, but they went for it. And then the shooting star press at the end where Brock Lesnar nearly brains himself in the main event of WrestleMania. It's an uncomfortable watch, whereas Hogan and The Rock is quite a joy to watch. Not the most obviously in terms of a technical wrestling match, even Angle with a broken freaking neck out wrestles those two with Lesnar, and they would go on to do so. But I think there's more enjoyment to be had watching Hogan and Rock.
It's the first non-unanimous one. You've won. Well done, guys. What a sad little life and all that. But I'm going for Angle versus Brock because I think if he'd nailed that shooting star press, it would be one of the best Mania main events of all time.
Oh,
but if my grandmother had wheels, she'd be a bag.
Absolutely. Rock versus Hogan goes through to the next round. I think most people would agree, though. Next up, Edge versus Foley, WrestleMania 22, and Sami Zayn versus Johnny Knoxville, WrestleMania 38.
Cut from the same cloth, these two matches.
Well, have you seen the recent 24? The mousetrap makes a hell of a noise.
Yeah, it was a shoot mousetrap at the start, like, wasn't it? Edge is like, good luck, pal.
Yeah, Sammy's going, oh no, because they're testing the mousetrap in the build-up, and it's like, But Edge like dove through fire face first. So
Mouse traps, though.
Mousetraps. What are you thinking, Tom?
Well, it's always interesting when you get a ringing endorsement from non-wrestling fans about certain things. My good lady watched that match and she said, "This is the best wrestling match I've ever watched." The Johnny Knoxville, Sami Zayn.
Right.
So this is the best match I've ever watched. Bags of entertainment in it, bags of fun, and so I think it's a worthy place in Hall of Fames. But I loved Edge and Foley. I loved the story. I loved the energy into it. Like, we were gutted that Edge wasn't going to be in a title match at Mania because he won his first belt about 2 months before, and then Cena turned up on his big platform and took it back.
Yes.
I'll have that, thank you. But then that was the consolation prize. But what a consolation prize with a flaming table spot that Vince didn't want. They did it anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Vince didn't want it.
I think Vince was very much against it. They had to really talk him into it. He didn't want a flaming table spot, but they did it, and it was great. Joey Styles on commentary gave it a very different flavour to other matches, I think, and he was the right guy to have on that kind of match. I'm going Foley Edge.
Ross.
Wee Man does the Andre and Hogan spot with Sami Zayn. Wee Man.
He does.
What more do you? I'm gonna have to go for Johnny Knoxville versus Sami Zayn. It's a feel good WrestleMania match because I don't think there was any expectations heading in, because remember, this is the old Vince McMahon regime before the current one we're currently embarking on, where it was like they could do giant mouse traps, but I doubt they will, because they could do a lot of things, but by and large they just go for the safe route all the time and don't do these like extravagant things they would have done 20 years ago, 25 years ago. But they did everything they could have done that match and more, and I just thought it was perfect for what it was.
Pontius.
Yeah. I can't believe that happened.
Oh yeah, and commentary going,
Party boy.
my, it's Pontius.
You can just see on the commentators as well. I think Michael Cole said it was like his favourite match to call or something in that documentary, didn't he?
Sami Zayn's, I think, in the immediate aftermath of that WrestleMania, and rightly so, said how proud he was of that match, because it's on him. It's all the pressure's on him to wrestle a non-wrestler in such a complex match, and they nailed it.
And it's a testament to how brilliant Sami Zayn is to go 1 year from that to headlining night one in one of the best storylines WWE has done in a long time.
But that could be another thing to count in its favour. Okay. Like, would we have had Sami Zayn's rise without this loss? And fans like appreciating him for
But how directly did it lead to his rise? I guess
he was in no man's land, wasn't he?
Did we enjoy Knoxville maintaining kayfabe at WrestleMania and booing Sami for winning?
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Did you see Seth Rollins when Cody lost? He's like got a beer. He's like toasting people in the crowd from the skybox because he hates Cody in storyline. He's being 3 times. I think that's pretty good.
Him and Becky were arseholes, weren't they?
Fantastic.
I saw her on telly.
Yeah,
She's slurring like there's no tomorrow.
Becky's getting interviewed by Daniel Cormier.
Yeah.
He goes, "Well, that's it. It's the end of the biggest night." She goes, "It is, but also it all starts again tomorrow night on Raw." How wrong she was. I'm going for Edge versus Foley. I'm so sorry, Ross. I'm so sorry. I'm a sucker for matches where it's the old gunslinger, one more round and all that sort of stuff. And I love that aspect of the Foley character in this match. I also love the it's like a match type of its own. The Foley gives someone his tough guy flowers or feathers, I suppose. He's done it with Orton, he's done it with Triple H, he did it with Edge here. I'm going for that one. I feel... No, I am, but I feel bad though. I think the internet's just... Oh, there we go. Sorry, it wasn't letting
Mick Foley's like a golf buggy through a wasteland, isn't he, for a lot of people?
A golf buggy through a wasteland?
He will help get people through a really rough spot, and they'll come out more gnarled for it and stronger for it.
But they're there.
Yeah.
He's the camel. Mick the Camel Foley.
Mick the Camel Foley.
That's why they call him it.
I throw a golf buggy through a wasteland. # golf buggy through a wasteland.
We're more than halfway through round one, you'll be pleased to know. And it's 2 Undertaker matches next. Ooh. Edge versus Undertaker, the main event of WrestleMania 24. And the Boneyard match, Undertaker versus AJ Styles. One's a wrestling match, so that's got that going for it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the Edge one because it was where Edge just had an answer for every single thing Undertaker had.
Done so much
and then Undertaker had to whap out a new finisher move, didn't he, to put him away and keep the streak alive on the grandest stage of them all.
And win the belt, I believe, as well.
And yes,
he did.
I mean, no one cares about
and
that.
The winner's share of the purse.
Yes.
Remember the video package for it with Edge going, "The streak at WrestleMania, it dies." And it told a great story. And you genuinely got the vibe that Edge could be the guy that could do it. Like they built up Edge to this position where it didn't seem unreasonable for a heel ending at WrestleMania with Edge beating Undertaker, but that didn't happen.
What do we think of the Boneyard match then?
It was good. It wasn't the best cinematic match of that Mania, I don't think.
I agree, yeah.
In my personal opinion, it was the Firefly Funhouse match.
But it was the first one that we'd seen, and it was like a week after everybody was sent home during the world being on fire. And I think it served a greater purpose because everybody was miserable and scared, and it was all looking quite bleak. And then for about 15 minutes, after watching WrestleMania in a garage, for 15 minutes, you had this movie of Undertaker and AJ Styles, and it was just full of little memeable, gifable, clippable moments. And
it was silly, but in a good way.
I think it was just the tonic for what ailed us at that particular point during the pandemic. So it holds a special place.
It was very serious as well because Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson both perished.
That was the end of them in WWE.
They both died and then came back to life last year, of course.
Of course.
Yes, they did.
I'd have had them burst through the hole or something. I'm going to be the bet obscure company. I'm going to go Boneyard match.
Are you? Ooh.
Yeah. I think for the greater purpose that it served. Edge will have his turn. Edge has already gone into the next round. Undertaker, I'm sure, will go through, as he will do here.
He's in both matches.
So I'm going to be the better obscure company, go Boneyard match.
Just because it was so tactical and it was not a thinking man's wrestling match where Undertaker was like, yeah, I can't beat him, so I'm going to have to do something new. I'm going for Edge versus Taker.
Okay. I'm also going for Edge versus Taker. Sorry, Tom. It was a very good argument, though, and I do agree with it, but it's a great main event, so I've put it through. Next up, we've got Undertaker versus HBK, WrestleMania 26.
Okay.
The career versus streak match.
The second one.
Yes, taking on, I'd say, maybe an even more iconic, certainly a more iconic WrestleMania match, Hogan Andre.
Just as a match, you got to go for Taker versus HBK, haven't you?
Yes, but just as a moment.
The jumping tombstone at the end to finally end the career of the Heartbreak Kid. He never wrestled again.
He slaps him on his knees as well. Of all the WrestleMania matches, that one might have my favourite build. It's got a better build than the heralded 25 match, but the build's amazing. The Rumble, if I only could, make a deal with God, all that. Aye.
Placebo.
Yeah.
Michael's like doing everything just to press continue and have another match against The Undertaker. And Undertaker's like, you're all right. So therefore, he just makes it as difficult as possible for Undertaker to have anything other than a match against him.
The slammy speech.
The slammy speech was great because it was like, because he took it and then it's almost like you saw the cogs turning in his head and he went, I reckon I can do it.
He's pretty good, Shawn, isn't he?
He is a bit good, is Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, let's reverse this whole modern narrative that Brett was better. Come on.
I've been saying Shawn was better for years.
I think Brett. Anyway.
Flip me. I'm a right fickle so-and-so.
Yeah,
I used to be HBK, now I'm Brett.
I think I'm the same, but they're both... Anyway, Hogan versus Andre. Iconic, certainly.
It's iconic.
It's the slam and then the trash being thrown as they get carted away in the little cart up the ramp.
I watched it back, and it's better than I ever remembered it being. It's certainly better than Meltzer's famous, whatever it was, -3 or 4 star rating for it. It's a better match than that. Hogan, moments before the slam, one thing that many people don't remember is that Hogan goes for I think he pulls the padding away on the outside and goes for a pile driver on Andre, and it doesn't hit. But imagine how wrestling would be different. Ring of Honor would have come about years earlier if he'd done that.
Well, even before that, like how wrestling could have been different. Hogan went for that slam first of all, and Hogan barely was able to kick out because Andre was positioned in such a way that Hogan couldn't quite get his shoulders up. So there was an argument forever that actually Andre had him for 3 within the first minute of the match. And there was lots of stories about that match that have done the rounds as well. Lots of rumour and innuendo and old wives' tales. Andre was so beat up by the time that match came around because this is really late in Andre's time.
He used to be way more mobile than that.
Yeah, there's videos of him like doing drop kicks and all this stuff. But he was so haggard by this point. They had Paul Orndorff on standby, even on the night in the event that Andre couldn't quite make it down the ramp. They'll do Hogan Orndorff instead. So like it adds a little bit of sentimentality to it to know just how much Andre pushed through to give Hogan and wrestling that moment. And the problem is, Shawn and Undertaker is flipping brilliant.
It's way better, isn't it? It's so much better.
Yeah, but could Undertaker and Shawn Michaels have done it after having 14 bottles of wine just before the match? Because that's the other old wives' tale, that Andre was so knackered and he's got the little back brace underneath his singlet. His back's that buggered that he had 14 bottles of wine to numb the pain of what was to come.
Oh my word!
Yeah.
No. I am going for Taker.
Yeah, I think you got it, weren't you?
Well, I'm going to be I'm just so I don't get shouted at by the skeptics. I'm going to say Hogan Andre.
Oh, that will lead
It
to you
lost,
getting shouted
but
at.
I had tried.
There we
Consolation goal.
Iconic.
A consolation goal for Hogan Andre.
go. Next up, Flair versus Savage, WrestleMania 8. The Photoshop that rocked the world.
She was mine before she was yours, Randy.
Fiend versus Cena, the match Ross mentioned just before the Firefly Funhouse match.
To go behind the curtain, just before we filmed this, Ross and I got together and did a tier list. Didn't we? And we talked about, in the tier list that we did, we talked about this Firefly Funhouse match.
Yes.
And said how it actually, in comparison, it does stand up really well, exceptionally well. But does it stand up better than She Was Mine Before She Was Yours?
Of all the golden era wrestlers, I've always thought that, I think my favourite one of all of them is Randy Savage, because he was amazing to watch. He's so quick and so nimble. On top of that, he's got the archetypal wrestler persona. Him and Hogan, I think, are the two. Whenever someone who doesn't know anything about wrestling does an impression of a wrestler, it's Hogan or Savage. They go like, well, let me tell you something. And I think it was a lovely moment for him at WrestleMania. An event where he never really... I know that he won the title at Mania 4 and stuff, but no one really looks back on Mania 4 that fondly.
It's hard. It's hard.
Someone does.
Ariel Hawari loves it. Right?
Shill.
It's hard. It's hard to see Savage winning the title. What with Hulk Hogan standing in front of him all the time.
Yeah, standing in front of him.
Just depressing.
This is kind of, even though obviously it wasn't the main event, it was better than the main event of this Mania.
Should have been the main
Should have
event.
been the main event. It's Savage's moment for me, along with the year before and Elizabeth and everything. But I'm giving it to Flair Savage.
I'm actually going to give it to Flair Savage as well. And as much as we love the Funhouse match, and all the silliness that came
Oh, it
from
was
that,
great.
again, like the Boneyard match, during a time where we all needed a bit of a break from the world, and we needed something to distract us. It was the superior one of the weekend, wasn't it, Ross?
Well, I'm gonna score the consolation goal of this match because we got to see John Cena's heel turn finally about 15 years after it should have happened.
Yes,
he
we-
joined the NWO, right? And he went back to the 1980s, and he was Johnny Large Meat, whatever the hell his name was.
Johnny.
What was his name? Actually, I've forgotten his name off the top of my head now. What was he called when he was in the
I
80s?
can't remember.
Muscle Bound John. I don't know.
You know when I told us a while ago, I said, "Oh, we're more than halfway through." We weren't. I was reading the bracket wrong. We're still got quite a way to go, lads. But it's going all right. We're flying through. Flair versus Savage wins, and after a run of unanimous decisions, it's been a while since we've had a non-unanimous. It's been a while since we've had a unanimous decision. Could it be the next one? The end of an era match. Taker versus Triple H at WrestleMania 28 versus the main event of WrestleMania 5, Savage versus Hogan. The match where Savage got put in his place.
The Mega Powers explode.
Yeah.
It's an obvious one, isn't it?
I don't know. Is it?
Oh, I think so.
Do you think it's 28?
Yeah.
I think so.
That super kick pedigree combo.
Oh.
Come on now.
Yeah.
The streak was over.
The best near fall in the streak's history?
Probably.
Because knowing it's very meta, isn't it? Knowing what we all know about Triple H and politicking and all that sort of stuff. If there was going to be anyone to break the streak, I didn't watch that match live, and I wish I had just to feel the thrill of Undertaker kicking out of that pedigree.
It was palpable when that happened, and it was a nice 4-year story arc that they told without, unlike the Rock Cena stuff that just sort of bulldozed multiple WrestleManias in its wake. This is one that just ticked along really nicely with Shawn challenging Undertaker, coming up short, Shawn losing to Undertaker the following year, Triple H seeking vengeance for his friend, and then the Hell in a Cell match to really call time on everything. And the build for that, I believe, was this the build where Triple H was like, I want a match with Undertaker. And Undertaker's like, no. And eventually Triple H winds him up to...
No, Taker wants the match because Triple H had left him laying in the previous year's Mania. Yeah.
And Undertaker shaves his head.
Yeah.
In the build-up to it. So we get this new look Undertaker as well, this striking new look for the Undertaker in the build to it.
Oh, he looked beautiful, didn't he?
He was great. He was really
He looked
good.
scary, yeah.
I prefer him bold.
I think Ross is right. It is probably quite an obvious one. Savage versus Hogan.
Great story.
Yeah,
that was
iconic
told,
story.
But really, if you look at all the way that it was put together, Hogan overshadowing Savage after his big win, Hogan hitting on Savage's wife throughout. Savage being annoyed by that. Hogan should have been the heel.
Hogan definitely fancied Elizabeth. Like,
Of course
No, he didn't, brothers.
He did.
He was just looking out for her.
nah, you don't look out like that.
Or maybe you do, brother. Come on now, dude.
The story should have led to Hogan turning heel on Savage.
Yes.
And Savage, like, turning back the challenge of Hogan. But instead, Savage was painted as being in the wrong for wanting his own spotlight. And, I don't know, his mate not to sleep with his wife.
He didn't, brother. He was just looking after her. I'm going for Taker versus Triple H.
Give her the kiss of life, dude. She broke her ankle.
Leave her alone, Terry, you creep.
He didn't try and, did he? Oh, no. Next up, we've got the opening match of WrestleMania 30 and one of the best WrestleMania opening matches of all time. Daniel Bryan versus Triple H, taking on the Ultimate Challenge, Ultimate Warrior versus Hulk Hogan, WrestleMania 6. That poster's amazing, by the way, when they're both stood like in a mountain range and they're both really tall. Oh, I love it. Sorry.
No, it's the way that it was constructed as like these. I think the opening video where Vince was like, "All the stars in the cosmos and the galaxy to shine brightest," and it was Hogan and Warrior, and Warrior was the IC champ going into the main event. Felt really special, and it was like a new force for Hogan to come up against, and and we all know how that went. He fell short.
But people say it's Warrior's best ever match, or certainly one of his best ever matches.
I think it probably is his best match in terms of like the psychology and the in-ring work.
Hogan kicks out so on 3. Like, yeah,
that annoyed me
a little bit.
because he should have let him have the
then
win a bit more decisively.
And then does, like, when Savage won the belt at 4, as you said, Hogan stood in front of him. When Warrior beats Hogan, it's all about Hogan sadly walking off.
Yeah.
Oh, you well done, brother, dude. You've beat me, but I'll be back. But I'm sad at the minute. I didn't like that.
No.
What do you think, Ross?
I'm edging towards the older one.
Oh,
I don't know why. I'm just looking at them written down there, and I'm thinking, while Bryan versus Triple H was good with the jeopardy of Bryan having his ribs taped up and all that sort of malarkey, and Triple H being Triple H and whatnot. I just think there's a match in a moment, a showpiece, a spectacle. The older one for me.
Tom?
Whilst I don't think the jeopardy was truly needed, I still think Triple H and Daniel Bryan was an excellent match and a bit of a dream match for Checkers Hopes, Triple H. As a guy who loves the indies, to take on one of the top indie guys of all time in WrestleMania, it was a joy. I'm going to go, as much as that match from Mania 6 is one of my Desert Island Graps matches.
Oh.
Because it made me cry because I was a Hulkamaniac. I was desperately sad. Desperately sad when Hogan lost. But as I've looked back on time, I've gone, actually, he's annoying. I'm going to go Bryan and Triple H from Mania 30.
And I am as well. I'm going to go Bryan Triple H from WrestleMania 30. Sorry, Ross.
Don't respect the business.
No respect.
Hey, you voted against Hogan Andre.
Next up, we have the second seed in this entire bracket. Taker versus HBK, WrestleMania 25. Against someone that could beat it. It's Hogan versus Bundy, WrestleMania 2, lads. Come on.
Just put the
Yep,
things in there.
I'll just put it straight in.
Yeah, because Bundy worked his arse off.
Oh, I like that cage match. Let's move.
Such a strange match. Elvira on commentary.
Oh, yes.
The third location of a 3-city WrestleMania.
Yes.
And, rubbish. There you go.
Next up, we've got a match that we were just talking about. Taker versus Triple H, WrestleMania 27. Taking on Sasha versus Bianca, WrestleMania 37, night 1.
Oh.
It's hard, isn't it?
Two slappers. I meant the match.
Yeah, 2 bangers.
That is no way to talk about Triple H and The Undertaker.
I meant 2 matches that slapped.
They are respectful gentlemen.
2 hard-hitting professional wrestling matchups.
Yes.
Very much cut from the same cloth. My God, it's been a long weekend.
It's all right.
The main thing that comes to mind about the first one was obviously Taker getting carted away after being put through the announce table and the spine busters and all that sort of stuff, and just the hard-hitting nature of what was going on. And then the other one was history making. I think it was the first. Was it the first main event with 2 black ladies in it?
It was. And Michael Cole pointed that out just before the opening bell.
The whip of the hair. Oh, a gunshot. This might be the hardest one so far.
I love that. A lot of people preferred Becky Sasha from the year after. Becky Bianca from the year after, but I preferred this one. I thought it was brilliant, and I thought it was the match that solidified Sasha as an all-time great. And I'm a huge Sasha fan. I'm going for that one. But what do you? There we go. I've cast the first vote.
Tim.
Triple H Undertaker is amazing.
That one, 27.
Yeah, the one before End of an Era. They do just batter.
Triple H's entrance is good.
Yeah.
For whom the bell tolls.
Oh,
yeah, that felt like a big deal. I'm going to go there. I'm going to let Ross decide.
You slag. I'm going to go 37, you know.
Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think the history books look back on that maybe more. Well, maybe not now because Sasha's left, but if she was still there.
Yeah.
It was a phenomenal match.
I think
and it was a rightful WrestleMania main event.
Yes. Whereas I think often 27 is unfavourably compared to the End of an Era match, which came just after it, maybe.
Yeah, but it's a compelling first chapter.
It is.
Or actually, it's a third chapter because I kind of class DX versus Undertaker as a 4 WrestleMania.
It's a quadrilogy.
Yeah, it's a quadrilogy.
Next up, the final chapter of someone's career. Or was it HBK versus Flair, WrestleMania 24, against HBK versus Austin, WrestleMania 14, the passing of the torch. The reluctant, but the... Yeah, I guess you can.
I don't know because Michaels worked really hard in that match, didn't he?
And his back was.
You could tell his back was knackered,
Yeah,
like even when he was posing on the ropes and stuff. And Triple H gets between his legs, and
It's the angriest entrance I've ever seen. You know, he comes out in the DX band to play, and he's like.
oh, it was a very good entrance. Like,
but you
fit
can
the time
the
perfectly.
pain in his face when he's doing it, like
He's in agony.
walking funny.
There's a bit in that match where he does a snapmare, and you just see his whole body shudder.
Yeah.
Like he's in agony in that match, but
Yeah.
he's going through it. He's going through the motion. But obviously there was question marks about whether he would going into it. There's that old myth about, I don't know whether it's a myth or not.
Yeah.
Undertaker being at Gorilla saying, "Make sure you do the right thing." Or
I mean, this
I
was-
swear, right to the moon, Alice.
This was months after the Montreal Screwjob as well, so there must have been like an air of paranoia. Like, will he actually do it? Will he put him over?
Yeah. But really, in theory, all Austin would have had to do is just kick him in the back. Done.
Do you think Austin would beat Michaels in a shoot fight? Yeah.
With Austin, with Michaels with his back out, I think maybe. I think but then Flair and Michaels was a fantastic final chapter for Flair. The saddest part was it wasn't the final chapter for Flair.
Yes.
I'm Sorry, I Love You is a moment in time
He had
in
the
wrestling.
best. He had the perfect retirement. He just needed to not wrestle anymore.
And do you know what? It was what I love is in looking back up that story. The story they planted the seeds really early on when Vince told Flair, like, next time you lose, you're done. And then that night backstage, like, Flair was talking to Michaels. And Michael's like, "Oh, you got to be careful." Flair's like, "I'll be fine. I'm Ric Flair. Woo, I'll be fine." And you see the concern in Michael's face. Not maybe even knowing at that point he would be the final boss. And then we got to
It's built really well.
Yeah, and Michael's going, "I don't want to fight you because I'm going to beat you." And it was great. So I kind of, as iconic and as history making as Tyson, and all that is, I'm going Flair and Michaels.
I'm going Flair Michaels because as much as I love the moment of Austin beating Shawn Michaels and Tyson and all that sort of stuff, and the fact that WWF were acknowledging this is the new guy, this is the new start of the era and everything, I just don't really like it that much as a match. Whereas HBK Flair, even though one's like really getting on a bit, is still a fantastic match.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give it to that as well.
As I'm sat here at 14:03 on the 4th of April 2023, I cannot remember a single thing that happened before I'm Sorry, I Love You. It could have been the best match ever or the worst match ever. It's just about that moment. So I'll go for the moment. Why the hell not?
There we go.
I don't think the other match was that good as a match to outweigh the moment.
It's another unanimous one. Next up, CM Punk versus Undertaker, WrestleMania 29, and Rock Austin won at WrestleMania 15.
Oh.
Easy one, this for me.
It is for me as well.
29.
Yeah. It's the least heralded Rock Austin match, and rightly so, I think.
It's another one where one of the combatants in that match did well to even get out there because there's stuff about Austin having won too many Red Bulls the day before and his heart nearly exploding.
He was dehydrated.
That's 19. Are we doing 19? I thought you said Rock Austin won.
Oh, sorry, yeah, this is 15.
Oh, it's 15.
Yeah, it's
Sorry, I thought it was
15,
19. So it's not that one at all.
Well,
then.
there's jeopardy in this one because The Rock not long before had surgery on his pecs.
Yeah.
So he spent most of that first quarter of 1999 wrestling in like a tracksuit, which is very random. Steve Austin, whilst wasn't injured,
He forgot his vest.
He forgot his vest. He was really angry.
Right,
He'd forgot his PE kit before PE.
You know why? I looked at it last week. He was going through a divorce, and it was a bit up in the air of his life at the time, so he just forgot it. Just an honest mistake.
Just his head was elsewhere.
Yeah.
And it's funny watching that match in an arena. It sounds a weird thing to say, but I think because people become so accustomed to WrestleMania being held in these magnificent stadiums across America, like to see those manias like during the sort of as coming out of the new generation era and sort of finding their feet again, and they're still in kind of standard arenas. It's very strange.
Yeah.
And the match itself was perfectly serviceable as a Mania main event. It was the right WrestleMania main event. I still think that Punk and Undertaker had themselves a more compelling story and match.
They did, and I think that it was another match where Taker has to be commended because having recently lost a close friend in Paul Bearer, they played it into the storyline, which is controversial, but I think it meant that the result was never in doubt. You couldn't have Punk win after doing that. That's the one drawback for me, is that they made it a bit too obvious maybe when realistically it could have been a match where the streak was broken. But the performances from both men are fantastic. I'm going for Taker versus Punk.
Yeah, 29 for me.
29. Next up, as I just fill that in, sorry. Give me one moment. Next up, we have HBK versus Angle, WrestleMania 21. Against Triple H versus Batista, WrestleMania 21. It's HBK versus Angle.
Yeah. Just the guttural cheers that Angle gets by just being a bad arse against Shawn Michaels in this matchup. It's just, it's one. I don't know why I was clock onto the guttural, manly cheers that certain heel wrestlers get.
Grapevine when he drops down. And stuff.
That sort of stuff. It's just, it's that one over Batista.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we were putting in like the follow up matches that they'd had, like the Backlash one, the Hell in a Cell, Bad Blood, I think that I would give the edge to H and Batista, but that's a great story in itself. And a great pivot from WWE, because this is the story they wanted to tell with Randy Orton, but they really like screwed up the time on it. They missed the bullseye like dramatically. Like, the dart landed in someone's pint on that one. But so then when the opportunity presented itself to do the same again with Dave Bautista, they went, we get another roll of the dice, let's do it again. And they did it magnificently.
Yes.
And it was a great match, a great build, but on that night, Angle and Michaels had everybody. It felt like a big deal. It was an interpromotional match as well, so it felt quite special because it was a point where we weren't doing a lot of crossover, and there was that, and they just wrestled their socks off.
I'm going for it as well. I think that final submission spot is. You think
lasts for half an hour, doesn't it?
You think he's going to get out? No, but I like it. It's one of the rare instances where I don't get bored of it, because I think. If you pretend you don't know who wins, you're really on the edge of your seat.
A great wrestling trope is Angle with the ankle lock on, and there being some questions. Oh, can they get out of it? The moment he grapevines it, like it was one of the more protected,
every time, really.
You should really, but it's one of the more protected submission spots. Is Angle grapevining the ankle lock, because I think 99 out of 100 times that spells almost immediate tap out.
Yes. Next up, as we approach the end, we've still got a few left, but nearly the end of round one. Then can we have a break?
No.
We've got Brock versus Roman (brackets versus Seth), WrestleMania 31. Piper versus Brett, WrestleMania 8.
Ooh, okay. Roman and Brock was fair to middling until Seth turned up. Let's be honest.
Oh no, Roman got beaten up bad in that match, and he enjoyed it. That sick freak.
Slaps in the face, and Roman's.
Brock and Roman had better matches.
No, this is their best match.
I think that is their best match as well.
Do you prefer the tractor?
Do you prefer?
I preferred the tractor one.
The bloody one at 30. Oh my god.
Yeah, the finisher mashing moment of Mania.
This one was their best match. IMHO, TBH with you.
For me, until Seth turned up, it was Roman as like this triad goodie. For goodness sake, the catchphrase going into the match was from the little engine that could. I think I can. Come on. And Seth cashed in Money in the Bank made it an iconic match for me.
Okay.
It made it iconic.
Piper Brett's the other one.
And Piper Brett is a great story.
It is.
Wonderfully told between two. It's all about that promo before. I gotta tell you how much I love your family. And it's all full of little passive-aggressive comments from Piper. And Brett eventually says, we'll do it in the ring. Piper going to cheat, changing his mind. It costed him the match. I'm going for Piper Brett. I enjoyed Piper Brett more than the Mania 31 main event, with the exception of Seth's running, which I think is the height of the century, etc.
This was obviously getting towards the height of Reigns as the worst babyface you can have, just the shove down your throat type with his blue eyes. Why do you have blue eyes? Why did he have to have blue eyes? What's wrong with his beautiful
I know he's got
hazel
beautiful
eyes?
eyes anyway, yeah.
Because Vince knows what makes. Vince knows what we like. You don't know what you like. I know what you like.
But even though we're, around the times of suffering succotash and that kind of stuff, the fact that he took the beating like he did and he was smiling about that did something for me. That awoken something deep inside.
Whoa.
And then obviously Rollins getting involved at the end, the heist of the century, all that sort of stuff, took it to another level. So I'm going to go for, and the fact that Roman's family thought he was winning.
Oh, that is funny.
Sad. That's not funny.
Really funny.
It's not funny at all.
Oh, it's hilarious. What are you talking about?
It adds to the story, doesn't it?
Reminiscent of WrestleMania 39, you might say.
It was worse at only 97. Bulldog Shawn for the European title. But Bulldog's sister was ringside and she was really, really ill.
Yeah.
And they said, "Oh, Bulldog's winning," and they changed it before the match started. No one told them.
It's a horrible business.
Horrible business.
This is a really close one for me, but I agree with Ross. I'm just going to edge it towards Crawford because I do actually think that the match itself was still good before Seth turns up, even in a bit more of a spectacle way, like, well, the crowd hate the winner. What's going on? And I think it plays into it. But it's a close one. It's
where Suplex City bitch was born as well, wasn't it?
Yes,
That's true.
Next
Money
up,
for days.
not the first ever ladder match, but the first ever famous ladder match. Razor Ramon versus HBK at WrestleMania 10 versus, Raven versus Kane versus Big Show. Backstage, crashing through walls, golf carts, nearly knocking out the power. It's the other one that wins, obviously, but I like that backstage brawl.
That was a good one, but the other one, they were told you can't use the ladder as a weapon, and they still put on that.
Yeah.
Triple H apparently pieced it together, didn't he? That was the old story. Like
The SummerSlam one, yeah.
Oh, was it the SummerSlam one?
The SummerSlam 95 one was where they said, right, we're not using weapons in wrestling
I thought it was
anymore.
that one as well.
No. This one, they were all right with it.
Is this the one where I always mix
This
up
one
the
went
spots that happen
overtime.
in this one and the rematch? But is this the one where he rides the ladder onto him
on the top rope
and does the famous splash from the ladder?
Yeah, that's it. But they do similar stuff in the SummerSlam 95 one, but they can't like hit each other with it. But they're like, we can use it as a springboard, right? So they found a way to work it and they made it a great match.
But this one's
despite it.
obviously an iconic ladder match as well.
The sad thing for me is that it meant that we lost a lot of time on Adam Bomb versus Earthquake.
Which is not in this bracket, Tom, I must say.
I know. And we also lost the 10-man tag. And I was frustrated because specifically in the soundtrack to WrestleMania by Men on a Mission, there is the line in the third verse, which is, we've got one more match. This one's in the bag. 10 men in the ring for a 10-man tag. We never got the 10-man tag. It wasn't in the bag.
And this
because of this match.
Because it went over time.
Yeah. I'm voting the other one. No. I'm voting for this.
Oh, you're voting this one.
It's a piece of history.
Yeah. Which is a shame because that backstage one is a blast, but it can't win against this. The first ever Money in the Bank ladder match, the one that Edge won at WrestleMania 21, versus Ronda and Kurt versus Triple H and Stephanie at WrestleMania 34. Sports entertainment at its finest. It's tricky, that, isn't it, actually?
So that's the Money Bank where Benoit is about to get it and gets hit with a chair.
Yeah, uncomfortably, he's the big hero of the match, yes. But Edge then screws him at the end, yeah. It's I think, one of the better Money in the Bank ladder matches of all time.
But the other one has years of build, years of Stephanie McMahon belittling everyone who shared a screen with her while she's in like the authoritarian role.
I remember your reaction live.
Oh, God.
I remember Ross going, "Oh dear, Stephanie," while she's calling
So
Was this where Kill Kill came from?
It's where Kill Kill came from. Because it was all those years of no matter who she was sharing a screen with, she would always belittle them and always get the better. Remember the period, the year or two earlier, like slapping Tom Phillips, like shoot style. Strong style Stephanie. And then Ronda comes along and rips her arm off. It's one of the better debuts in mainstream big time professional wrestling history. It's got to be for Ronda Rousey. It's
also
that
the
one.
bit where she beats up Triple H.
Yeah.
That's great.
Kurt Angle was also there.
He did really well,
I can't remember a single thing he did in that match, but I remember Ronda's bits.
He did stuff, didn't he? Probably pulled the straps down at some point. That wasn't the important part of the match. Tom, what do you think?
I think it's Kurt and Ronda versus Trips and Steph for me.
I think it is as well. I think if there hadn't been as many Money in the Bank ladder matches since then, we might look at it a bit differently, but I think it's become diluted.
The format has improved and then became somewhat diluted.
Yes.
But the format in general has improved.
I'm giving it, not just me, sorry. We've given it to the mixed tag team match. TLC 2, WrestleMania X7 versus The Streak is Over, Taker versus Brock, WrestleMania 30.
In terms of a match, I mean, Undertaker and let's not forget that up until the pinfall, Undertaker versus Lesnar at WrestleMania 30 was rubbish.
Yeah.
Because Taker took a ding early on, and they were sort of out in the woods a little bit as from there. So up until the finish, it was. I remember watching it with my flatmate at the time, and we were both very bored by the match.
Really?
We were talking about other stuff, and then as we were talking, we noticed the F5. And then we're like, is this not finished yet? And then the 3 went down. And we both went, oh my God. It was a really anticlimactic ending, but an iconic one because it's Undertaker losing at Mania. And then the perfection of the selling of the moment, no commentary. The streak is over. Perfect end, quiet on commentary. Undertaker guy, face popping up.
Oh, yeah, Ellis
and that.
I should point out that Taker Brock is one of the lowest seeds in this bracket. It was one of the lowest rated matches that I included, whereas TLC 2 is number 3.
That's why I think TLC 2 goes in. I think
it's carnage.
It's carnage, and there's that, bless Jeff Hardy, there's that bit where he planned this lovely bit where he was going to walk across all 3 ladders, and it all fell away. The best laid plans.
Still really good, though. This is the one with, the spear, all 3 sidekicks getting involved.
Leah got banged up, didn't she?
Yeah.
Spear on the floor, banging her head off a ladder.
We had Rhino and, was it Little Spike Dudley?
Devon Dudley being terrified of heights and being made to dangle.
Doing his cell as well. It's got to be TLC.
Like a dog with an itchy arse.
Yeah.
And it's not... That's what it is, isn't it? It's not to discount the iconic nature of the streak is over, but we're not doing iconic moments. We're doing matches.
So I think we're all in agreement there. TLC 2 goes through to the next round. Next up, it's 2 matches from WrestleMania 23: Batista versus Undertaker and Cena versus HBK.
We just spoke about HBK versus Cena downstairs, upstairs, round the corner, up the bend. One is just a massive hoss off, just 2 massive hosses just hossing each other. Just really hossing around. Oh my God.
Hoss out of
David Hasselhoffen everywhere. And the other one is John Cena's best WrestleMania match by far and away.
Yes.
It's
spoilers, it is.
Shawn Michaels.
Whoa, really?
Shawn Michaels being a cocky heel. While Cena's still getting booed while being the babyface in that era of John Cena. And
they were co-tag team champions.
Yeah, they were.
How they coexist.
Michaels turned on the Raw before WrestleMania and then off they went. Had a big, long WrestleMania match. I've got to go for the David Hasselhoff.
It's been a long time since I've watched this WrestleMania, so in my mind, Cena HBK is better, but I actually don't know. I know Batista Taker was the first epic streak match, wasn't it? Or the first one that people were like, ooh, really?
I just remember watching it, I think it might have been during the pandemic, doing a tier list research, and it was just, they just battered each other, just doing big moves to each other, which is all you want.
Sounds really good, though.
Yeah.
Oh.
That wasn't main event, though, because Shawn Michaels
was main event.
Cena was main event. I'm going Shawn Cena. I really enjoyed it.
Have I got that right? Was Batista Taker from that WrestleMania?
Feels like 23.
Yeah.
All right, okay. I think I'm mistaken.
It was for the world title, and the other one's for the WWE title.
Oh, got you.
I'm going for the David Hasselhoff.
The Hasselhoff.
The Hasselhoff.
I'll go for the Hasselhoff as well, because even though I remember Cena HBK being a good match, people didn't like the result. And it was Super Cena, and he'd beaten Triple H the year before.
And they redid it a few weeks later in jolly old England, and it was much better, yeah.
Yeah, okay, Batista Taker. Tom?
Do you know what? Do you know what? Hey, look, he's losing either way. Consolation goal for Cena and Michaels.
Okay.
There we go.
Ross swayed me there with his powerful argument skills.
Well, he just said Hasselhoff 10 times.
Just a great political campaign's built on a catchy slogan, isn't it?
Hasselhoff.
I was quite proud of David Hasselhoff.
Yeah. HBK versus Y2J, WrestleMania 19. You're my hero, Sean, and I'm going to kick you in the balls. Or does he hit him?
But he
can't remember.
I think it's...
Shins him, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's hugging him.
Van Persie.
And Vince versus Shane, WrestleMania X7. God, there was 3 Vince matches on this list.
This is the one that I was... Because when you mentioned earlier when we booted out Vince and Shawn...
There was another Vince match.
I was hoping this one would come around.
Here it is.
I think this one needs to move on through to the next round. As good as Jericho and Shawn is as a match, I think as an entire concept, Shane and Vince is one of the best matches with non-wrestlers possibly in WrestleMania history.
Shane McMahon's a technician. He's the best wrestler in the world.
there is that as well. We can't say in all wrestling because we'll have to count Bueller versus what's his name? The Robert Van Sabu's manager.
Oh,
It's my head.
Alfonso.
Bill
Alfonso. I'm sure Bill Alfonso had an amazing match against Bueller in ECW.
Earl Hebner versus Nick Patrick.
Let's not count that. But I think that one, it's, you know, in the shadow of like the purchase of WCW, which is what a random time we live in. The payoff of Trish turning on Vince.
Not like that, though.
Not like that. And Linda McMahon.
The standing up.
I think to this day, one of, if not the loudest pops in WrestleMania history was Linda McMahon standing up out of her corner. Ground shaking.
It's a compelling argument, and it was wrestled in front of Shane McMahon's boys.
Yeah. What's up, boys?
What's up, guys?
And Shane didn't tear his quad once.
That famous, now memed image, WCW wrestlers.
So sad.
3 of them,
So
and Stacey
sad.
Keibler.
Cheers,
who won
Sean
the war.
Stacey.
Yeah.
History's written by the winners.
I want to give it the other way. HBK versus Y2J. I love the story. I think maybe not so much these days when he's more a cartoonish villain, but Jericho as this, like, similar to Mickie and Trish, kind of this super fan of HBK going like, you are my hero, Sean. And you think that once he's lost, he's going to be really gracious and it's going to be a lovely moment. And then he just ruins it. And the match was spectacular as well.
They used to say I was going to be the next Shawn Michaels, and it was a compliment, but not now.
Yes.
I'm working on being the first Chris Jericho.
Oh my God. Jericho is one of the greatest insecure heels of all time. Whereas these days, I think that he's lost a bit of the self-awareness there. But
Little bit.
back when he was... I loved this era of Jericho. I loved the feud with The Rock as well, the I'm not a joke, damn it, and all that sort of stuff. I'm giving it to HBK Y2J.
I've got, for the sheer pantomime.
Okay.
I've got to go
Okay.
for X7.
Yes!
Fair enough.
It is pantomime.
It is, isn't it?
And it's better than it deserved to be.
And that's not saying Shawn versus Chris Jericho is a bad match, because it's not. It's probably the best match at WrestleMania 19. But yeah.
They took every shortcut imaginable, but sometimes taking all the shortcuts gets you to the destination quicker and more efficiently.
Next up, the Triangle Ladder match, WrestleMania 2000, and KO versus Austin, night 1 of last year. Which was an official match in the end, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, pal.
Yes, it was.
Me mouth still feeling the pain, pal.
Matthew bet that he wouldn't eat really hot, spicy food.
He's just going to come back, he's going to cut a promo, he'll hit KO with a stunner, and he'll go home, pal. I'm willing to put a spicy chili on the line there, pal.
And then,
Matt's been around the industry for so long.
I know.
How did he think that?
We've all made silly predictions.
We all have off days. Well, yeah. All those people thought Cody would fulfill the dream and end the story.
That wasn't a silly prediction.
What a silly prediction by all of us. How
Triple
dare
H
we.
in that press conference after. The story never ends here.
Well, just as an aside, the fact that the entire slogan for the match and a T-shirt says "Finish the story."
Triple H made that up as well.
And yeah, the Triple H made it well. And then to have the gall and go, "Joke's on you, we don't end stories." That's like going, "Come to this vegan restaurant, sit down, joke's on you, we only do burgers."
Have a steak.
You literally told us it was a vegan restaurant. Burgers.
Guys, they know what they're doing. Let's see the bigger picture
Trust
unfold.
the process.
Yeah? Triangle Ladder match versus KO and Austin.
Austin looked great in that combat match.
Oh my God.
I thought he was.
What a effing animal.
That's Rollins in 24. You see Austin take the vertical suplex on the concrete, and it cuts to Gorilla, and Triple H and Stephanie go
Horrified.
"Ooh," and off camera, and it pans across to reveal who it is, but you know who it is because you hear. He's loving it. He's really
Good old
excited.
Tyler Black.
Also, there's a lovely moment where it shows KO coming back through the curtain afterwards, and everyone's really buzzing for him because he wrestled his hero.
Yeah.
And it shows basically half the locker room, like on the arena floor, when Austin goes to one of the sides of the stage when he's doing his entrance, going, "Whoa." They're all down there on the Becky Lynch. You can just see her on chair, and it's like, wow.
They're all watching in the crowd.
They're all there. It's the return of Steve Austin. It's like, why wouldn't you? And I think that there's so many that have that big comeback match, and it all goes horribly wrong. I think Austin, and as much as people are excited to possibly see Austin wrestle again, if he doesn't, it's fine. That's a perfectly reasonable way to go out. With in there with a younger guy like Kevin Owens, and it gives Kevin like 2 years in a row. Kevin's headline night 1.
Oh yeah,
Great for Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
What a boy. But having said that,
It's the Triangle Ladder match. WrestleMania.
yeah, because I do like the Triangle Ladder
The
match.
one that's, I think, still remembered very fondly, but less out of the two. The X7 one's remembered
because
more.
it hadn't been given the TLC
Yeah.
label yet,
Yeah.
and it was. I think I'm going with Austin Owens.
Okay.
I think I'll go with Austin Owens. Yeah, because TLC 2 I think has gone through, and if TLC 1 doesn't go through, but TLC 2 does, then I'm all right with that.
The X7 match didn't exist, I'd find this harder, but I think Triangle Ladder match has been given a raw deal here, maybe.
Yeah, I feel like it was in the same way that like we didn't put through Hogan and Mr. T versus Orndorff.
No, it's not like that.
It's a case of like, you know, these guys walk so others can run. You know, the blueprint for the multi-person ladder match was formed in this match, and there's respect that is deserved.
Or was it formed in the Brood versus the Hardy Boys?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, go further back, you know. But either way,
yeah, it's an important match.
I think I'm putting Austin Owens in.
Brothers of Destruction versus D-Generation X. Undertaker versus Goldberg. All these matches spring to mind. They all came just before Stone Cold Steve Austin made his return in the main event of WrestleMania 38 Night 1, and he didn't poo the bed. Yeah. Therefore, I'm going for that one. The pressure was on, and he delivered, and then some more.
Yes, I think as a moment, and I know we're doing the quality of the matches over the quality of the moment.
Yeah, we'll go against what we say quite a bit. It
was a quality brawl, though.
I enjoyed this match more than the Triangle one, even though did I? Yeah, I did. There we go. That's a hard one.
There's a lot of hypocritical thinking throughout this video, but just go with it.
It's hard not to. Nostalgia's a powerful thing. Sometimes
it ain't what it used to be.
Bret versus Owen, WrestleMania 10. Is it the finest opening match in WrestleMania history? Possibly. Ronda versus Charlotte versus Becky, the historic first ever women's main event.
Oh, well.
It's quite an easy one for me.
The finish got botched in the triple threat, so it's got to be the best opening match in WrestleMania history. That isn't John Cena versus Austin.
I totally didn't. I'd misremember that, but you're right. It was botched. My drawback for the women's match was the crowd just were tired. They weren't into it.
12-hour show, wasn't it?
It was
in those
a long
days.
one.
No, 2 nights back in 35.
Back in the day.
The story with that one, I mean,
it didn't need to be a triple.
They're eerily similar in terms of journey. Both are like in dignity, because you had Brett and Luger respectively be co-winners of the Rumble. So therefore, they did a coin toss to decide who would fight Yoko first and who would fight him second. Luger was delighted that he won. Like, that means you have to wrestle twice, dickhead.
They both had to wrestle twice.
Yeah, but even so, like, for Luger, it was a bigger upheaval.
Oh, he's got less time to rest.
Yeah, so therefore, Brett had like his.
But we didn't know that Brett would be taken to the limit by his baby bro.
Yeah,
and beyond it, actually, he did lose the match.
So that was the compromise they made, and it formed a great match. Whereas with the other one, like, Charlotte wants to be in the match. Can we do anything? No, just put her in.
That was Sam's finest moment in a reactions video. That Charlotte making her entrance in the helicopter. She lands outside the arena, which is deserted because everyone's inside the stadium. And she walks up to the door, and Sam goes, "Can I see your ticket, please, love?" I was like, "Oh, fantastic!" But no, it's obviously an important match because it's the first women's main event of WrestleMania. But for me, the crowd weren't into it, and that really harmed it. And it didn't need to be a triple threat.
It didn't need to be a triple threat. Yeah. I believe it could. You know, the ending was botched, so we lost some of the big iconic finish to the match. And it was the end of like a 6-hour WrestleMania.
And Bret Owens, amazing.
Yeah, belt to belt, it's just a better match. I think as well.
Fantastic.
Belt to belt.
Perfectly executed in every single way.
The camera angle as well. Where was what's it called? Spider cam. Bird's eye view. Captain Bird's eye.
A very bold booking decision as well to have the man who's going to win the belt later on in the night lose. I think it's very good.
I'm sad it didn't it set up Bret versus Owen at SummerSlam. I'm sad it never set up an Owen title reign.
Yeah, I know. Is he one of the greatest never to hold the belt? Possibly.
I think very possibly.
Oh, yes.
Seth versus Cody from last year. And Rock Austin 3. One final round. One last round. What did it say on his thing?
One more round.
One more round, thank you. Although there was one more after that, which we've just talked about. But yeah, Seth Cody, Rock Austin 3.
That's the one where he had the heart issue the day before.
Yeah, he was dehydrated. But he remembered his jacket.
Yeah, that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
He was ready to retire, wasn't he? And he...
But nobody knew.
No one knew. I think JR
Jim
knew.
Ross knew that was it.
JR let it slip on commentary.
No.
Because at one point he referred to Austin's career in the past tense and then quickly changed it.
That kind of makes it more sense. I like that, though.
Yeah.
It kind of worked because that's real. He's accidentally let it slip that his mate's retiring.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm going for Rock Austin 3. I know that Seth Cody was a great match and it's fresher in the memory, but I think Rock Austin 3 is so poignant, and Rock finally gets his win over Austin as well.
I think Cody and Seth has incredible bit of history that will be told in years to come about this first major jump from AEW back to WWE in the most dramatic, and also for someone to come back and retain everything that made them what they were elsewhere. That is very un-WWE like, very un-WWE like. So
That's been rectified now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Don't you worry. Well, you don't know what you want.
Yeah.
I know what you want. But I'm going Rock Austin 3 as well.
Yeah,
Great
like
match.
how the match just descended into like a finisher bash off.
A big bash off.
3 rock bottoms to win. So yeah.
Yeah.
The Rock Austin.
There's also the bit where Rock wears Austin's jacket and pretends to be him. That's really funny, isn't it?
Yeah, Hollywood Rock was a special treat for us all.
What a nasty man. The second last match of round 1, and then we'll fly through the rest. We've got the Usos versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn from last weekend, at the time of recording, versus Goldberg versus Brock. Not that one, the good one at WrestleMania 33.
The 5-minute finisher bash off.
These are both really fun.
David
matches.
Hasselhoff.
Yeah, the David Hasselhoff.
Don't use the same slogan.
This is a tough one, this one, actually.
I was about to say the Andy Hosselthaler, but no one will know who that's former Gillingham player and manager.
Former Gillingham.
Andy Hessenthaler.
Oh, right. What are we thinking for this one?
I'm thinking of Hoss footballer puns. I'm to be honest. Paul Hosky Salido.
Oh dear God.
Emil Hosky?
Emil Hosky.
Oh yes.
Thierry Hosky.
No.
We've jumped.
He wasn't a Hoss as well. Heskey was a Hoss. Henri wasn't a Hoss.
We've jumped the Hoss there.
Yeah, we've jumped all the horses. It's got to be the 39.
Last weekend was the main event of night 1.
There was no psychology in the other one. It was just like, we'll go through the barricade, we'll hit the finishers, we'll get out there in 5 minutes, it'll be fine.
It was class though.
Yeah, it was really good.
Really good. But I agree with you. I'm leaning more towards the more recent one. There's that. I watched the highlights back recently where I skimmed through it just to remind myself what had happened. Because watching it at like 4 a.m. is hard. But watching it back, there's that final tag to Sami when he steps through the ropes into the ring. He's so heroic. The look on his face is like, I'm gonna finish the story. But he actually did finish the story.
It was eerily similar to Sami Zayn and Neville in NXT.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a great moment when Neville was in the corner and Sami realised, oh my God, I'm about to do it. Like you see him like put his hands over his face and pull his hair back.
Yeah.
As and we all know what's coming. He winds up and gets a haluva kick and he becomes the NXT champ. Celebrates with his mate Kevin Owens. What could possibly go wrong? But it's got to be that.
Yeah.
4 guys who 100,000% deserve to headline WrestleMania. A storyline that was captivating from start to end. Told magnificently. A great match that was. I know some people have questioned like the amount of near falls and the amount of kickouts from finishers. But I think in this occasion, absolutely worth doing. You know, you've got 2 guys who will not be denied, hit a 1D off the top rope. No, this is not how I'm going down.
First time we got kicked out of apparently.
Yeah.
And it was very poignant that Jay was the one to take the fall.
Yeah.
Yes.
Got kicked in the face finally.
And the little moment where Jimmy makes a last ditch and then it's like, you think, oh no, he's gonna, and then Kevin saves the day.
Kevin lands a stunner on him, doesn't he? And then one more kick for good measure.
I'm going for...
Brilliant.
Yeah, that as well. It's unanimous.
But like you say, Goldberg and Brock was like a submission. It was like a finisher kick-out-a-thon.
Yeah.
It was great. They crashed through the barricade. It was all very good.
And it came off the back of that shocker where Goldberg just beat Brock Lesnar in like a minute at Survivor Series. So it told a nice story from there, but not the same sort of quality of story.
The final match of night 1, also the final match of round 1, also features a match from this past weekend: Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley. Meltzer's called it one of the best women's matches he's ever seen. But is it better than once in a lifetime Rock versus Cena 1, WrestleMania 28?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
It is better.
Wait, but is it? Because you were a big fan of Hogan Rock though before, as a similar clash.
Because the crowd got me cock a hoop, and the crowd didn't do that in Rock versus Cena 1. It was a good match. It was certainly the better of the two, but obviously that's because Rock got injured for 29. It was, when you go back and watch it, it was a pretty standard match, as me and Tom talk about in the tier list. You can probably see somewhere.
But even in that once in a lifetime match, the first one, like Rock really had to be sort of guided through it because he was knackered.
The second half of the match, you can noticeably see he's tired, and John Cena's like dragging him through spot by spot by spot.
And the story makes Cena look like a silly boy. He had it and threw it away. He went for the people's elbow, the Snoop elbow.
It's unlike a main event of a WrestleMania to miss a really wide open goal, and in favour of telling a story that will take another year.
It's fine. We're on a redemption now. He'll lose to Brock conclusively. He'll then beat Brock. Then he'll get back to.
If
Raw.
he loses at 40, I'm cancelling the network.
Charlotte versus Rhea did go with the predictable result and the correct one.
Absolutely.
And Charlotte Flair bumped her tail off and her face off.
Oh, and then,
Yeah, I've never seen so many Germans taking on a face.
Charlotte gets...
Yeah, you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Crikey.
There was that movie that we rented in Dusseldorf.
I bet no, she's more like Marv off Home Alone. Right
the
from
best
the
of David
schnoz.
Hasselhoff.
That's it, the best David Hasselhoff.
No, you're right.
Charlotte gets a lot of grief, and a lot of it, rightly so, for the way that she kind of has, over the years, sort of kept people at arm's reach. Didn't at Mania. Like, gave a lot, took a lot, and a very decisive win for Rhea Ripley, which was absolutely needed. No question that Rhea could beat Charlotte, especially this time round.
Only one issue with the match.
Yes.
And that's at the end. Charlotte's on the floor and she's giving it the, you did it this time,
you
kid.
got me.
You got me this
Look
time,
upset,
kid.
Charlotte.
Yeah,
Look
look
sad.
devastated.
I think because it happened with Sasha, where they kind of had shots of Sasha smiling at ringside after the match with Belair, which I thought was lovely. But
that was a wholesome smile though for Sasha. Charlotte has the same face every time she loses a big match. We mentioned on the podcast every
Matthew
time, don't we?
hates it, yeah.
It's the, you kid. Next time I'll get you, kid.
Matthew hates two things. He hates that, and he hates baby faces being little punks and going. It's just this weird noise when a baby face is sad.
Punks.
Do you want to break or should we whiz
I would
through?
love to go for a pee.
No worries.
Pee off, everybody.
Round the second.
Round the second.
Brett versus Austin. Becky versus Bianca. It's getting serious now. Brett versus Austin. Brett versus Austin. What did you say?
Becky Bianca. Okay. So Brett versus Austin, WrestleMania 13. Let's from that one. It's you create. That's really the night that Austin's born. Everyone says King of the Ring, but that's really the night that Austin's born. Becky Bianca. Both are very established, but it kind of wraps up a story and it begins a very powerful reign for Bianca Belair as champion, one that at time of recording is still ongoing.
I think it's got to be Brett versus Austin, but it's maybe not as clear cut as I'd initially thought.
I've got to go for the double turn.
Yeah.
I feel like there's more historical significance to that match as opposed to in Becky and Bianca, which is still an excellent match. I'm going to go with Austin and Brett.
Fair enough. Bryan versus Kofi. Kofi Mania, WrestleMania 35. Savage versus Steamboat, WrestleMania 3.
Okay. So let's sort of break this down and look at maybe the finishing to this match. So both very clean finishes, if memory serves.
Yeah.
I think Savage tried a bit of shenanigans, as did Bryan. See, there's a lot of silence in this part of the video.
I know what I'm going for.
Oh, do you?
I know what I'm going
Well, I tell you what, leave the charge, Jack.
I'm going for Bryan versus Kofi.
Okay.
Because I think that while it's remembered primarily for the moment, I think on the night as well, it was the best match. I think it was a good match also. It wasn't any sort of it wasn't anything groundbreaking or anything, which you could say for Savage versus Steamboat, but it was an excellent match and an excellent moment, whereas I think Savage versus Steamboat, the match outweighs the overall package, if that makes sense.
Well, I think because it was a strong match and it kind of established what the Intercontinental title stands for, I'm going to go with Savage and Steamboat.
Fair enough.
Oh, Jesus.
Ross! Over to you, pal!
Well, I said earlier that Savage Steamboat, when you look at it, in terms of the modern day, it's not even that really good, is it? But for the standards of the day,
if anything, it's rubbish.
The standards of the day, it was ahead of its time. But it's a Bobby Dazzler. This one, mind. I might just flick a coin. I'm flicking a coin in my mind. I don't know what to go for. What should I go for at home? Do you know what I should go for? I don't know what I should go for. I'll go for Kofi.
Oh,
Okay,
Kofi Mania.
It's a heart over head. Well, just a heart situation there. I voted with my heart because sometimes you got to listen to your heart. Listen to
If
the
it's
beat.
calling for you.
Yeah.
Sadly, I think the one in my head, I was going, I need something really spurious to help me go the other way. And one of my spurious thoughts was it meant the end of the ethically sourced WWE Championship.
Rest in peace.
The hemp belt.
The hemp belt, which was like, Daniel Bryan do that thing where it's sourced, made out of hemp and made with trees that naturally fell in the forest. It's recyclable friendly and it's friendly to the earth.
Boom.
And then WWE Shop immediately buy yours now. We're mass producing them.
Do you remember the promo where he bought like a burger from the stadium and then stood on it because it wasn't vegan? It's so good. The IC triple threat match from the other day that we all got really excited about
Gunter, Drew, and Shamo
versus the WrestleMania 30 triple threat between Orton, Batista, and Bryan. Oh no!
Goodness me, I'm in turmoil.
I know what I'm going for again.
It's the other weekend, isn't it?
And I don't care if it's recency bias, I don't care. I'm going for the other week. IC triple threat.
It's a match over a moment, isn't it? Because if you look at them just match versus match, the IC one is a better match.
Yes.
But the other one is a bigger moment.
But the IC one still had an emotional undercurrent that I think tips it over the edge for me.
Sheamus and Drew, yeah.
Breaking up the pin, the stare down.
And the hard lemonade.
And Mike's harder lemonade, yeah.
I think the 30 main event.
Do you see he was in the Cinnamon Toast Crunch mascot? They got a report on Reddit. Saul Rooker.
What's
What's he doing there?
What are you doing?
What are you doing here? Yeah.
Get an investment. That'll be in a video package when she headlines WrestleMania 45.
I was hanging off your gangster car.
Yeah.
But I was in the Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Dominic. IC triple threat for me.
I'm going Bryan, Batista,
It comes down
Orton.
to Ross again.
I see triple
Oh, yes. It's going to win this.
got match over moment.
It's going to win this
I went
whole
for
thing.
moment because I feel like Daniel Bryan being so passive-aggressively shoehorned into that match by WWE at the whims of the fans is something that will forever make me smile and give me hope in the months and the years to come.
Yes.
What, that you two could be WWE champion?
No, that maybe the fans could somehow shout down awful decisions and maybe make a change for the better.
Rock Austin 2, X7, Roman, Edge, and Bryan, 37, night 2.
Easy.
Oh.
Rock Austin.
Yes.
Every
that's it for
day.
me, yeah.
Rock Austin, yeah.
Powerful match.
Despite the heel turn?
No one got stacked. Despite the heel turn, I think it still is one of the best WrestleMania matches of all time.
HBK, Triple H, and Benoit versus Rock and Hogan.
Easy.
Rock and Hogan.
Rock and Hogan.
I would have gone the other way.
Oh. Why?
I think it's a better match.
Fine.
But but I'm not a dictator. I'm going to go with the, yeah. 2 Edge matches next. Edge versus Foley and Edge versus Undertaker.
Taker for me.
Foley for me. Tom Campbell.
Ding dong.
Choice is yours.
Going to go against my previous thought, and
No,
I'm going to go
Tom.
Edge Undertaker.
I believe you.
Compared to the
if we
two-
look at it, I believe you didn't even vote for Edge Taker in round 1.
I didn't know. I didn't. But that wasn't. That was.
That was
a torn
against.
decision.
That was against the Boneyard match.
Yeah, that was. I was torn between two lovers there.
Yeah, yeah.
For all the reasons that you guys said for the first one, I think Edge and Undertaker headline in Mania,
Wow.
with Edge having an answer for everything Undertaker-y, to the point where Undertaker goes, "Fine, I'll get a new toy." It's great.
Fair
So
enough.
I think that one over Edge and Foley. Sorry,
Those
Foley.
hellish gates.
WrestleMania 26, Streak versus Korea, is probably going to win. But against, though, Flair versus Savage and the Elizabeth moment and everything.
I concur.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Taker Shawn. I think it has to be Taker, which is a shame for Flair and Savage to crash out here because
We've got-
Undertaker and Shawn didn't have like Shawn threatening to show pictures of Paul Bearer in his underwear, which would have put it over the top.
That would have been amazing. Taker versus Triple H, end of an era. Bryan versus Triple H, WrestleMania 30.
End of an era for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna go end of an era this time as well. I think it's more an iconic.
Even though it wasn't the end of an era.
No. Don't call me a silly
the story
boy.
never ends.
Of course it doesn't.
Never ending story.
Don't call me a silly boy. But I would have gone the other way, and I would have gone for the Bryan Triple H match, just for its role as part of a bigger WrestleMania 30 joyous night, I suppose. But it's not the winner of this round. That's Taker Triple H. Taker HBK WrestleMania 25 versus Sasha and Bianca WrestleMania 37 Night 1. I mean,
it's
Yeah,
closer than
yeah.
you think, but it's the great. Well, it's one of the greatest in the upper echelons of what everyone says. It's Taker versus Shawn
I'm
Michaels.
sorry, I
Taker
love you.
versus
It's
Shawn.
Taker and Shawn.
yeah, sorry, Sasha and Bianca. Good run for Sasha and Bianca, but
So look at the draw on it. Look at the draw.
It's that bit where Undertaker whipped Shawn Michaels with his hair for me. The crack off Shawn Michaels' stomach.
he shouldn't have shaved it at 28. That's why he nearly lost.
He could use it as a weapon.
HBK Flair, I'm sorry, I love you. Taker Punk, I'm sorry, I hate you.
I'm sorry, you should have worn a suit.
yeah.
Do you know what? I prefer 29. I prefer it.
And you hate CM Punk.
And I hate, well,
No, I'm joking.
I just think he's a bit of a dick.
Oh,
All the evidence is there that he's a bit of a dick.
It's a great match, though.
Yeah.
And as Punk was told afterwards, that was the main event, and Punk went, "No, it wasn't.
It wasn't that.
No,
It didn't go on last year. Yeah, I'm going to go for 29. I think I prefer it.
Yeah, it's 29.
I just about concur. Yes, although HBK Flair's an amazing moment. What have we got next? Oh, HBK Angle. I know which one Tom's voting for, but HBK Angle versus Brock and Roman versus Seth, which Tom hated in round one. Hated it.
Yeah, and I want to push HBK Angle through a little bit further. Fantastic
I
match.
agree. Fantastic. match.
Out of those two, it's HBK versus Angle is the better match.
We're eliminating some really good matches here.
Good. Which one will you go for, by the way? I know it's
That one,
unanimous.
that one,
Yeah?
HBK Angle, yeah.
Good. All right, there we go.
Ladder match, Razor Ramon versus HBK, and Ronda and Triple H and Kurt and Steph and all them. All the fun of the fair.
I think the ladder match carries on through. I think the tag match was still great in the seed that it was in, but up against this, I think the ladder match was still excellent.
Even though it took time away from Adam Bomb versus Earthquake.
Do you know what? I've just got over that. Yes, sod it. Let's go back. No, in the same way, like to compare and contrast. Like I didn't put the triangle ladder match through earlier because I felt that it was weaker in comparison to other matches that would come. This ladder match still holds up today to a ladder match that could happen, say, tomorrow night.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
This is why which is significant to me. It's still a strong match. You could put it on today and it would still look like a strong ladder match.
I agree with everything you've said there.
So do I.
Really
As much as I got out of that mixed tag team match, I'm going to go for the ladder match.
TLC 2 at WrestleMania X7. Batista versus Taker, WrestleMania 23. It's quite a clear one for me.
X7 for me.
X7 as well. Oh, Tom's not sure. Not that it matters now.
He loves a David Hasselhoff.
He does. He
I
does.
mean, there was a very compelling
Oh,
argument.
yeah, it's sad to see the Hasselhoff go out at this stage, isn't
There's
it?
a very compelling argument they used a short while ago around Hasselhoff, which I remember. I don't remember the argument, but I remember the slogan. I think it was on a bus. No, we'll go TLC. I'm going to go TLC too. As much
We've
as I
dared
love
to Hoss with the Hoff,
Yeah.
and we have won.
We've hustled the Hoff.
This one should be interesting. Vince versus Shane. Austin versus Kevin Owens.
Oh, it is interesting.
Oh, dearie me.
It's got to be X7 again.
Yeah.
When you look at them just written down there, I know what they're both fantastic in their own way, but they are pretty much cut from similar cloths.
Yeah, the sports entertainment.
Yeah.
Here's a great gauge, right? Which of those do you think you'll find yourself replaying in 10 years' time?
Oh, but Vince is an arsehole. That taints it somewhat. But we're just looking at the match, though. I think if none of that had ever happened and we were just looking at them and it wasn't tainted by anything, I think it would probably be X7. Yeah. Oh, I don't know.
If Austin had terrorized Sami Zayn, right? Let's just pretend that Sami and Kevin were friends in the build-up of this match. And if Austin had terrorized Sami and Sami had stood up from his comatose state, I'd be voting for that one.
Haluva kicked him in the ball.
Sammy does the Linda.
But it's just it's the stupid pantomime
Yeah.
over a suplex on the floor and
It
other
is
impressive
everything that
bumps.
sports entertainment truly is, isn't it? You know,
It's beautiful. It's a real masterpiece.
You know what? You can watch this and you can argue with yourself and friends around you that wrestling should be about the wrestling matches and this and that and other.
Nah.
It's sports entertainment. It's
Sometimes-
panto in pants.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't want chicken and rice every day for dinner. Sometimes you want a
A zap lolly.
zap lolly and a cheeseburger, and That's what this is.
Zap
Sounds like
Lolly.
you want some junk food.
So
That's the best way. It's best
So West Midlands of you there. Zap Lolly and a
Some
chicken.
lolo, chicken, some orange chips.
The what did we call it there? The pantomime bollocks or something? Do you call it?
Pantomime bollocks.
Yeah.
The
Pantomime
It goes through unanimously. I have to ruefully give it to that match as well.
Would you have not gone that way?
No, I have to. I have to ruefully you as well. I reluctantly admit that
Okay.
you are right. Brett versus Owen, Rock versus Austin.
Which one?
Which Rock
Sorry,
wrestler?
the final one. Sorry, 19.
Right.
10 for me.
10.
Yeah, I feel like Brett Owen compared to Rock Austin 3.
I get more emotionally out of Rock Austin, but it's really close, and it doesn't matter anyway. But I think I'll give it a consolation goal. But Brett Owen goes through to the next round, and the final match of this round is the Usos and Kevin and Sami versus Charlotte versus Rhea. It's a 2023 derby.
Oh,
I know.
right. I'm to base on what I said on the night, because I said on the night that Owens and Sami had the better main event for me. And that is taking nothing away from Charlotte and Rhea.
Not at all.
Literally, like there's a fraction of a star between them, like the tiniest fraction of a star between them for me personally. So I'm just gonna go with my instinct from that, and I'm gonna go the tag match. Sorry.
I'm going to go for Charlotte versus Rhea, you know. I like hard-hitting matches, and I would argue their match hitted harder.
It was gritty.
It was grittier. And as I said, there was the one misstep for me, and that was Charlotte's face at the end. Oh, kiddo, you got me this time, but I'll get you next time.
Just because it was a really happy time and all the happy boys, I'm going for Usos and KO and Sami. Yes, I am. God. Yeah, I'm going for the Usos, KO, Sami, but it's very close.
Oh, it's nothing in it. There's nothing in it.
It was a great night one. We're into the quarter-finals now. There's only 8 matches left. Isn't that exciting?
Oh. Yeah.
Brett versus Austin. Bryan versus Kofi. It's an underdog story, I think, this one. Much like Kofi Mania was itself.
I got to go for the double turn still.
I'm going for the double.
Yeah, I still think Brett Austin out of those two.
Yes, sorry, Kofi Mania. Great moment, though. The IC triple threat match, can it go all the way? Can it do it? Versus its stiffest test yet, I would say, Rock Austin X7.
Oh, boy.
Do you know what, right? do you know what? Not that. Do you know
Hear
what?
me out, right?
Right, I've got to say that I watched a bracket on YouTube in preparation for this video, and it's 2 lads called Hive Mind who do a very funny YouTube channel, in my opinion. They don't do wrestling-based stuff, just do all kinds of stuff, usually music and stuff. And there's always one in their bracket that just goes ridiculously far, knocking out better competitors. And that might be our version of that, the IC Triple Threat match, which doesn't suffer from the questionable heel turn at the end of Rock Austin. It's just a perfect package. I think I'm going... Rock Austin used to be my favourite match, and I've since grown to realise it's a bit more flawed than I thought.
See, this is the fight, right, between recency bias and nostalgia.
There's no... it was just a banger.
It was about...
Call the police, Tom. They stole the show.
Admittedly, Rock Austin from Mania X7, the biggest Mania match of all time, was lacking Titus O'Neil not knowing what wrestling was and a major sponsorship. You know, I wish like we'd had Steve Austin walk to the ring to Disturbed's version of Glass Shatters with a dancing Snickers.
No,
You know,
come on.
We needed something. I'm still going Rock Austin.
Fair enough.
I'm still going Rock
I'm
Austin.
going for the David Hasselhoff itself.
The triple threat Hasselhoff.
Yeah.
Ross?
In terms of my bell-to-bell action, what I want to see from a wrestling match is what I was given the night of WrestleMania 39.
Yes.
It's
Come on.
obviously one's a lot more monumental a moment in time, but in terms of bell-to-bell action, watching those 3 big strapping lads just kick each other and slap each other hard made me feel David Hasselhoff.
Did David Hasselhoff mind?
Rock versus Hogan, which did not main event WrestleMania X8, but should have done. Versus
You watch Sheamus, Gunter, and Drew knock this out as well.
Rock Hogan, which didn't main event it, but should have done, versus an actual main event of WrestleMania, Edge Taker 24.
I am rock hard for Rock Hogan.
I'll go for Rock Hogan this time. I don't think I voted for it yet, but in this matchup, I like it.
Yeah, I think as great as Edge Taker was, I think the the hit has to go to Rock Hogan.
2 Taker matches. Taker HBK 26. Taker Triple H, end of an era. 2 big stories. And we love stories.
26, the second one.
Yes. 28, the fourth part of your quadrilogy.
You know what? I prefer the closing stages of 26 because it's Defiant Shawn Michaels giving it one last go.
A great display of Defiant wrestling.
He's not giving up, and Taker's just like, stay down, and all that sort of stuff, and he's gotten held there at that point in the match. Whereas in the other one, it's Triple H. I know Triple H lost, but he really won, didn't he, on that night? Because Taker got carted out, didn't he?
No. 28's when Triple H got carted out by Taker.
Oh, he got 28?
28.
I can't see anything with my glasses
So
on
closer
today.
than you think now.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh my God. I've changed my mind. It's 28. I thought
You
we're
went 26.
I thought we were talking about 27.
No, 28.
Is 27 still in?
27's long gone.
27's gone. 28. I'm going 28.
So that's the end of it.
End of an era cage
And
match.
you're going
Yeah.
26. Oh no, you haven't decided
I
yet.
haven't
Sorry,
decided yet.
I'm going 26. Just to let you know.
Because I think what I like about 25 and 26, I said this in the tier video we did, so sorry if you're hearing this again, but it's they're 2 matches that lock together, like Sonic and Knuckles and Sonic 3.
Yeah.
You can put them back to back, and they kind of the story continues, and the match sort of continues on, and it's almost like the whole match is a really compelling finish to the first match. I'm going Taker and Shawn Michaels.
As Ross once did in a video, and I really enjoyed it. I'm raising the roof. Ross is pushing it down.
Look out, I'm a carpenter. I'm raising the roof.
I love it as a total story as well, Taker HBK. That's why I went for it. Taker HBK 25. Taker Punk 29.
Oh,
Taker
25.
25.
Yeah,
Ross was wavering a bit
Because
there.
it's going with the heart, isn't it? Because maybe, it's one's recognised as the GOAT, but
Yeah.
otherwise one, it might hold a special place in your heart.
Although, interestingly, it's worth mentioning again that according to the cage match ratings that I used to seed this, Taker HBK was only number 2 and Bret Austin was number 1. We'll see what happens. HBK Angle versus the ladder match, Razor HBK. God, Sean's everywhere. It's almost like he's some sort of Mr. WrestleMania.
Okay. Oh,
Hard one.
I'll tell you what, I'm going for 21.
Are you?
I'm veering towards 21.
Again, it's that thing like of its day. It was wowza Rooney.
Yeah.
What a ladder match. But then it's different horses for different courses, isn't it?
Taker, Shawn and Ramon as a ladder match would hold up to this very day.
Yes.
But on the same card as Shawn and Angle, it's weaker. So I'm going Shawn and Angle.
I feel sad having a unanimous loss for that ladder match, but I agree.
Because it's a great
HBK
ladder
Angle,
match.
But it's HBK Angle. TLC 2 versus Vince and Shane. Pantomime Bollocks versus
Ladder bollocks.
Furniture Bollocks. Yeah.
Furniture bollocks.
I'm going TLC 2. I think that it's more of a feat than Vince versus Shane is. And I think that, but they're both important parts of the same brilliant WrestleMania. The best shows are the ones where it's like a mixed bag, isn't it? I just prefer that element of the bag. That sounds wrong. Of the package. That
I wouldn't know.
no, you certainly wouldn't. I'll go for TLC 2.
You know what? I'm going TLC 2 as well.
Oh, he saved
The lasting legacy it's had.
I was veering towards Vince and Shane. I feel like that the sports entertainment journey, a match that you could show non-wrestling fans that truly encapsulates what sports entertainment is all about.
You don't even need to tell them the story, though, for TLC 2, do you?
No, it's
just
true.
go, look at these lads killing each other.
Wrestling.
And the final,
So TLC 2 goes through.
yes,
does.
the final quarter-final, if that makes sense. The last quarter-final, Brett versus Owen, WrestleMania 10, and the Usos versus KO and Sami Zayn from the other night.
Oh.
I'm going to go for 10, as a
you?
straight-up match. I know one had a much more, wholesome ending and ended, I don't care what Triple H says, ended the story very well. I'm going to go for 10.
I still think that tag match ended the story magnificently and told lovely stories throughout it itself. So I'm recency bias. Be damned. Bloodline, be damned. We got a nice Cole line from it as well, which I haven't mentioned yet. Bloodline, be damned. I'm going for the tag match.
Oh.
Go on, Jack.
I'm going...
Annoy the comment section.
Either way, yeah. I'm going WrestleMania. And by the way, everyone leave your ideal whatever in the, don't do the whole bracket. It's quite scary to do all that, but if you want.
You'll have time.
Brett versus Owen, WrestleMania 10.
Fair.
I think it's slightly more perfect, whereas the Usos and Sami and Kev was a little bit ragged towards the end. I don't know if it was their fault, but the mic picked up Kev, for example, going super kick and hit me with a thing.
Yeah.
Now, that might be the fault more from a production standpoint, but what I mean is there's not really any moments like that in Brett versus Owen. It's a perfect little match. Very patronising. It's a perfect little match. Oh, two brothers just having a little wrestle. And it's also part of a great story, as is the Kev one, Kev and Sami. It's Brett Owen gone through. Now on to the semi-finals. Bret Austin, oh no, versus the other night, the lads, the big lads, the IC Triple Threat. Oh my God. Oh no, no. Stop it. Stop.
Okay, I'm picking Bret Austin because that should carry on because it's a double turn. It's a moment in time. Ken Shamrock's in it for goodness sake. Right.
No.
Good luck, you two.
The IC Triple Threat is the little match that could, though, isn't it? It's been going all this way.
I think I can.
In terms of what I want to see. From bell to bell. Do I want to see technically proficient submission holds? Do I want to see a very bloody man with a bald head towards the end? Perhaps. But what do I want to see more? I just want to see three big European men slap each other till they're red raw.
Oh, I'm going to...
Is that video we rented in Dusseldorf?
What was this trip to Dusseldorf?
I can't tell you. Not till the court.
Not
till the court here.
I'm going to have to break everyone's hearts watching. I'm so sorry, but I'm going for Brett versus
There you
This is your fault too. So
no, I'm agreeing with you.
All right, good.
I'm with you.
Sorry, Ross.
I feel bad for the European Slapfest, the Hasselhoff.
It's come so far. It came a long way, but unfortunately, the IC title match is out. It's done really well.
Do you know what? For a WrestleMania that has many people questioning WWE, like the fact that we got to this point and there's been two matches from it still in the running, I think is excellent recency bias. No, it's a showcase. There were some bangers on WrestleMania weekend.
It's another tricky one in the next quarterfinal. Yeah, quarterfinal. Oh, whatever. The next one's difficult too. Rock versus Hogan, Taker versus HBK, 26. The streak versus the career.
I'm going to have to stick to my guns.
Oh, really?
My 24-inch guns.
Pythons.
Rock and Hogan.
I'm going 26, Taker HBK. I love the story. I love I can beat him, and then he can't. And that's a lovely story.
I think as iconic as it is, I think this is the end of the road for Rock Hogan.
Oh my God, my heart has been shattered this round.
I'm having to be really brutal because we're now I'm really having to dig deep because it's like
Shawn and Taker themselves.
Storytelling, match quality, okay?
Like Gunter when he powerbombed through at the end.
Storytelling of Shawn and Taker 2, which is I can beat you, and I'm just going to ruin every opportunity you've got to be in WrestleMania with anybody other than me. I'm just going to be spoiler for all things until we have that match, and then they did, and it was amazing. I'm being really picky. Rock Hogan as a match, whilst it was a spectacle, wasn't great, and the build could have been easy. Until Rock got hit with an ambulance. That's how panicky I've got to be now. So we're going with Undertaker, Shawn.
I thought that was inspired by Terence Bollea to commandeer an 18-wheeler and ram the ambulance.
Because the idea of Rock versus Hogan, two generational talents fighting, simply needs more storyline.
It was the early 2000s. It really did. Semi-final number 3, Taker HBK. Quarterfinal number 3, Jack. I've made that mistake again. Taker HBK, WrestleMania 25. HBK Angle, 21. I'm going 25. It's 25, isn't it? It's WrestleMania 25. That's my whole argument.
Now,
the fact that there wasn't a moment like when Taker went headfirst into the floor.
You picked that moment of all the... Okay.
The fact that moment did happen and they still managed to continue, carry on, soldier on and do what they did, that gives it the edge.
Oh.
Because there wasn't, as far as I can remember, there wasn't that sort of moment in Angle versus Michaels. It was just...
Yeah, they did kill each other legitimately, so sod it. What an awful match. No, I think 25 just has the edge over an absolutely sensational match between Angle and Shawn.
No shame in going out at this stage.
No,
the
not
IC
at
triple
all.
threat from the other night went out at this stage. So.
Yeah.
TLC 2, WrestleMania 10, Brett versus Owen. Two very different matches.
Yeah. Okay, again, I'm digging right into the deep on this. The Brett Owen story, magnificently told. Owen playing spoiler ahead of Brett's biggest match.
But ladders.
But ladders.
ladders.
Ladders and fun for everyone.
Ladders and fun for everyone. I guess the trial, Edge and Christian as bad guys was inspired.
Oh, they
This
were
was kind of the
brilliant.
peak of them as bad guys. Nice, the inclusion of 2 ECW stars as ECW was shut in, like Rhino and Spike getting great spots in this match.
Oh.
Now I'm going Owen Brett.
Going Owen Brett.
I'm going Owen Brett. Actually, I think the story that was told into it, the shock result at the end of it. Not many Mania matches leave you gasping at the end, like, oh, that's a surprise.
I'll tell you which
Up
one
there with
did.
a streak and Cody Roman.
The IC triple threat match left me gasping. I'm really regretting putting Brenner.
I'll tell you what's making the difference for me here. You could put Owen and Brett in that ladder, the X7 match, and they could do it. But could you put the Dudley Boys or Edge and Christian or the Hardys
I can't
in?
imagine Brett flying off ladder. He probably could.
Oh, yeah, he could if he wanted. I was there in Saskatchewan.
Oh, yeah, when he wrestled Davey Boy.
I'm going for Brett and Owen.
Oh, sorry, Dynamite apparently him and Dynamite had a ladder match in the old Canada one time. I'm going Brett and Owen as well. It's a clean sweep, which I don't think it should have been, but we've done it now. Good run for TLC X7.
Yes.
Semi-final 1. The big heel of this list now, Brett versus Austin, against 26, Taker versus HBK. I'm going to go Brett versus Austin.
Me too.
Oh, well, there we go.
It's
Brett versus
over.
Austin.
Shut up, Tom.
Sorry, Tom. Not big, but 26 had a lovely story going into it. Brett Austin created a new thing coming out of it.
But there was also a great story going into it as well. Not instead of.
And, blood as well.
I think Austin and Brett continues on from here. It basically forges what 1997 looks like, and in turn forges the Attitude Era.
Semi-final 2, Taker HBK, WrestleMania 25, Brett Owen, WrestleMania 10, which is suddenly looking very, very plucky now, Brett versus Owen.
It's got to be 25.
It's got to be 25 for me as well.
I think this is the end of the road for Mania 10.
Oh, Brett. He's going to ring us up.
Brett!
Oh, no, he's in the other. No,
He's
don't worry,
too
he's in the other
busy
one.
having intercourse with a lady.
Ross has recently learned this year that Brett's autobiography is full of such stories.
There's a bit in the movie Throw Mama Off a Train where there's a guy writing a book called All the Women I'd Like to Pork. and I feel like that's based on Bret Hart.
We can, for fun, we can do a third place playoff if you want. But all right, I don't think Sam included that on his bracket that he
The
made,
bronze
so-
medal goes to.
We'll just do it. We'll just do it.
Let's do it for ourselves.
Do it cash now.
Taker HBK 26, Brett Owen 10. It's hard that. I want to go 26.
I think I'll go 26.
Oh,
I think either of the Taker Michaels matches up against the greatness of Brett and Owen, I think they win.
I would have gone for the same, yeah.
It's congratulations to HBK Taker at WrestleMania 26 for the bronze medal there. But now, what's happened? All right, my bracket on here just sort of went a bit weird there. We know what the final is anyway. It's probably the final I would have predicted going into this.
I predicted the final would be 25 versus 26.
Oh, really?
I really did.
What did you think?
I thought it would be in the hard seltzer match from WrestleMania 39 versus the hard seltzer match from WrestleMania. I don't know. Yeah, probably. It's the two everyone speaks about all the time, isn't it?
It's Brett Austin versus Taker HBK 25 edition. We're going to annoy people no matter which one we go for here. But that's
we've done that hours ago, for goodness sake. I'm going to go for The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels out of the two.
I'm going to go for Brett versus Austin from 13. Tom, no pressure, mate.
No pressure. No pressure, Tom. But what's the greatest WrestleMania match of all time?
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay.
This is tense.
There's no wrong answer.
There isn't a wrong answer.
There's also no right
Read the comments.
answer.
I'm fairly sure there's been some wrong answers.
There's also no right answer. Yeah, here we go.
Oh, jeez.
People are screaming at their laptops.
Jeebers! For historical significance,
Oh.
for historical significance, I mean, Bret and Austin, basically, as I said a second ago, forged the Attitude Era. And created a moment that, that's a moment you still see replayed now. But Shawn and Michaels is...
My ass is sweating.
This is like the closing stages of a wrestling match.
Why is this on me? You two are shareholders. Why is this on the staff member?
No, come on, it's just we've cast our votes.
That's what we do. We crack the whip, Tom. You get in line, son.
Don't like this. Sean Taker.
Oh,
no! It's an amazing match. The story that is before it and after it are amazing. As is Bret
I feel
and
like
Owen.
when Sasha missed that penalty.
Yeah.
My heart's been ripped out.
We still believe.
Oh.
I think Sean Taker. Taker. We had the option to maybe go Bret and Owen, but Bret and
Austin.
Sean Taker.
But the real winner, should we give like a miscongeniality award for like the IC title match?
My hard seltzer. Yeah, it's
The
a
IC
hard
title
lemonade.
match had a hell of a run.
Well,
Do you know what was nice was the amount of matches from this past year's Mania that made the cut in general.
3.
Yeah,
Big.
great.
Yeah.
Because it was a good Mania.
It was a good Mania. Oh, just in the nick of time. It's all right. I'll do the outro. Thank you very much, everybody, for helping us decide. Well, you didn't. We decided that Taker versus HBK from WrestleMania 25 is the greatest WrestleMania match of all time, followed by Bret Austin, followed by Taker HBK 26. But the winner of all our hearts is the IC title match as well from the other night. Thank you very much for watching. Leave your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you to Tom and Ross for joining me on this long journey, and we'll see you all very soon. Goodbye.